Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm from the era where they fuck you up, then they take your tennis. Always on my grizzly like I play for Memphis. Mr. Triple Double, I don't do the bitches. Get the pen and pad and knock it down the business. Flip the work, stretch the calisthenics. You just getting started, I'm about to finish. Kicking my feet, then light up the spinners. We get a pack and flip it like a gymnast. Tell me what the fuck you know about the trenches. Everywhere from over east to the village. Run the game through the streets like a scrimmage. Keep it 100, don't need me no gimmick. Flow is wicked, so you know I'ma kill it. You study my shit, so you know it the mimic. But we know the difference from Bentleys and Civics. I'm not finished, always on my pivot. See it coming, anyone can get it. Except for them thoughts and them pigeons. Promoting violence, who with it? Rest in peace to my critics. Moment of silence, crickets. I wear my scars like a badge. Had to work hard for the cash. Go and tell them why you mad. Bitch, I be all in my bag. I wear my scars like a badge. Had to work hard for the cash. Go and tell them why you mad. Bitch, I be all in my bag. I wear my scars like a badge. Had to work hard for the cash. Go and tell them why you mad. Bitch, I be all in my bag. I wear my scars like a badge. Had to work hard for the cash. Go and tell them why you mad. Bitch, I be all in my bag.
Slickest old heads you ever see. I'm connected, you can tether me. Chase it till I'm in that Royce truck with the 7 seats. They say I'm hot like fucking on leather sheet. I'm 5 alarm blazing, level 3. Had to fight my way out of this devil teeth. Baltimore official, sit me right next to Mellow seat. Fantasize on that lime green Lambo with the yellow seats. Puffing that lime green with the yellow streaks. With a fine piece with the jello cheek. After 2 shots in the lead, I tell her eat that. I hit the lights and turn the switch on. I never sleep. You pussies is hella sweet. Give them 1, but I sell them 3. Get them done, watch the rebel eat. Let the bass ride, let the treble speak. I'm on the bass line, you better let them eat. Duke crush and tell them better bag. Foul play, you gon' catch a flag. Drumming the mad, come through with nothing on top of the jag. Bitch, I be all in my bag. Bitch, I be all in my bag.
I got the drip, watch me drag.
Bitch, I be all in my bag.
I wear my scars like a badge. Had to work hard for the cash.
If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
100. Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, I've been on a mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm Dunder Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Van Gogh. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, I've been on a mission. Okay, let's get it.
I've been on a mission like totally spice. I'm a baddie, she bad, but she totally nice. He was a blue and a toast with like white. They completely match out at the soul for my leg. He knew it for sure, but he left with a why.
What is up, party people? All right, so I definitely wanted to do this one because, hey, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I am a conspiracy skeptic. And wow, over the past few days, I've probably heard more new conspiracies than I have heard in a very long time. Let me see here because I cannot see the chat at all. What is up, Travis? Hopefully you do get a chance to get on here. Write the hand. What's up? Let me do this real quick because I can't see my chat yet. So the only way I'm gonna give you that little wrench, which lets me know who you are and that you are here. Yeah, there we go. What's up, right the hand? How you doing? You are more than welcome to come on the panel, sir. Yeah, Travis, hopefully you get a chance to get on. What's up, Shawn Smith? You are here. Okay, perfect. So I will put the link for the panel into the chat momentarily. I wanted to cover what I wanted to do about this stream. Let me get comfortable in my new chair. No more bar stool. I'm happy. Okay, so what inspired this? As of recently, the 24-hour experiments going on, and a lot of the what ifs and all that kind of stuff start happening. We've all heard a lot of the conspiracies. You're going to have a flat earther go out there and not come back, blah, 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 blah. I don't think anyone really thinks that, I hope. But the big one that I've heard recently is the 24-hour sun being faked using a sun simulator. This one probably is one of the first ones that I found when I became a flat earther. And I had always thought, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I had always thought that the sun simulator was something that like Hollow Earther would say exists. Someone who thinks, we live inside of mountains and shit like that. I had never actually heard a flat earther. Remember this. Never heard a flat earther who claims space isn't real think that a sun simulator is real. It's very confusing. And I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but I played it, right? I played the QN fee upload that I actually really fucking enjoyed. And I gotta fix this chair. I feel very uncomfortable at the moment. Okay, sorry about that. QN fee made it upload, and it was talking about the guy Ironworks, who was talking about how a guy named Flatworks did an upload about the sun simulator, showing that different satellites that we have up there are the sun simulator. And then he showed like what do you call it? Glare refract, like the lens flares that showed this weird little thing. I'll show you guys. But yeah, it's one of those weird things that I had to look into. And here's the weird part about it. Because I never thought about Hollow Earth, because I never envisioned them using a sun simulator, what ended up happening is I never looked into it. I had always assumed it was a patent drawn out so that if something happened inside these bunkers, like if a nuclear war were to happen and we had a nuclear fallout and all the officials put a lot of the public, not all, a lot of public in themselves, obviously, into these bunkers for long periods of time, I assumed that things like that, the seed bank, were for those things, during disasters where the situation was not fixable. Let's see, hang on. Good morning, Tex. How you doing?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you perfectly.
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing splendid. I got sleep.
You got some sleep.
I woke up refreshed. I smoked a few bowls. I am feeling great today so far.
Good. Yeah, the day's still early. There's still potential to fuck it up.
Exactly. So I was talking about the sun simulator that I've been looking into. I'm not sure if you remember the upload that I showed from Q and Fee about the flat earthers that were saying that they were going to use a 24-hour sun in Antarctica during the trip. Do you remember that?
I mean, I've heard 24-hour trip or 24-hour sun trip in Antarctica 100,000 times in the last 2 months. So you got to have to be a little bit more specific than that.
Be extremely more specific. I'm going to play this real quick so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Then I want to get into it. Here's the thing. It's not even a thing. I want to make it clear because I had a request to have a conversation with me today by our friend Totoro.
Oh, Totoro. Okay. Now you got me saying it's Totoro.
Yeah.
Totoro. Not Totoro.
Yeah, Totoro. He wanted to ask me about a conversation he had heard me having about Gigantopithecus. For anyone who doesn't know my argument about this, I do believe that Gigantopithecus is a very good piece of evidence for the possibility of Bigfoot. Do I think Bigfoot is walking around right now? I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it is possible. But I digress. Anyone who wants to come up with any conspiracy, this is an open panel. I am not holding it to just what I'm talking about. If what I'm talking about gets boring, change the fucking subject. Give me another conspiracy. I'm going to just play this sun simulator situation that I'm talking about, so you guys have everyone's caught up. But after that, I am going to put the link in the chat. So whoever wants to join and give me your best conspiracy, we'll talk about it. Let me see where the presenting part is. And I should probably make sure to put the audio on. Getting better at this.
Make sure all your tabs are exited out of. Don't pull a Dan.
Don't pull a Dan. Okay, here we go.
45 tabs open.
I feel so bad for his computer.
God. The fact that thing is still running is a testament to whatever old hardware he has. And it's exactly why if you buy a prefab, you don't need to change the thermal paste. It's going to cause issues. People are going to yell about me. Yell about me saying that. But
you know what I just realized?
Don't fix what ain't broken.
You know what I just realized? Our buddy, the one that we
Totoro?
hold so value to us, is the one who told me to do that. That Totoro, if you're listening, you are the reason I had to get a new computer. Because after I did that, all hell broke loose. If you don't remember, if you look back in the streams from when I started again, you'll see a bunch of part 1s and part 2s. That's when my computer was just die. So let's play this real quick. Here we go.
Does and just bobble and be like, hey, there goes your artificial sun. An artificial sun could appear to be an artificial sun. what appears to be some sort of an artificial sun. So you can't sit there and die on this hill that is not an artificial sun, because you've got people out there, and I'm going to shout them out. Flatworks. I don't know if you've watched this channel. Flatworks has been showing what appears to be some sort of an artificial sun.
I do remember
Some
this gentleman
serious
showing
yeoman
his videos.
displaying this thing. And now, look, they've taken pictures of this thing from some distance.
Luckily, I edited
and it shows. And now I don't know if this picture is real or not, because you know, man, everything is fake these days. I don't even know.
Those would be some of the quote unquote evidence of it. That is I don't remember. I think that one's the Parker probe. No, that one is. The other one was something else. But these are all their evidences for the sun simulator. Yeah. So I'm not playing these. I just want to get it set up for it.
Good morning.
Okay. Yeah, because I got more stuff on that. You guys would love that. All right. So, Jesus Christ. Okay. So, let me get the link out there. Because I said I'd get the link out there, right?
You did say that.
All right. Panel is open. Oh, if I don't fucking know you, we're probably not gonna be on the panel right away unless you're willing to show me yourself on camera, because OBS, this is an OBS, so I have different security measures here. I think I told you about that yesterday. I think I messaged you. Yeah, I did.
Oh, that you cheated on OBS and you felt bad.
Yeah. So now I worry. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Okay. So the sun simulator. Like I said, I had actually never officially looked up what the fuck it was. Right? Like it was like just I had assumptions, and it was just too far fetched for anything I was worried about. But since then, now I have this obsession with fact checking even more. Okay, so I went and looked it up. This is the sun simulator in its glory. It is a real thing, 100,000% real thing. It is used currently, today, probably, but its purpose has been very misleading. Its purpose is to test satellites and other functions, other crafts that will be in space. Its job is to make sure that the sun's radiation. What's up, Totoro? Let me get you in here. What's up, sir? How you doing?
How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Got here just in time. Just discussing that the sun simulator, what its actual purposes are. And you are just a person to ask a lot of questions to. Because once I get past this little part, I don't know shit. The sun simulator, like I said, the sun simulator's objective, its goal, its current use, I repeat, current use is to test satellites and other craft that go into space and have to deal with the sun's radiation, has to deal with other different effects that the sun poses on objects in space and their longevity in space. And what better way to do that than to strap the largest goddamn flashlight in a vacuum and then shine it on stuff.
So it's a really expensive litmus test, essentially.
Yes, that's it. That's its only purpose. If you don't know what this thing is, it makes the Parker probe look like a toy. Because it takes a lot to replicate the sun in a very small setting. Very small. Very, very tiny. I don't know why I did that. No one can see me doing that. For example, this is the face of this, or the backside of this beautiful, magnificent thing. This is the sun simulator that is in Europe at the if I remember correctly. It is very fucking large. It has 19, what it says, it has 19 IMAX class ion lamps to cast a concentrated beam of sunshine into Europe's largest vacuum chamber, the large space simulator at the ESTEC Test Central in what the fuck is that? Noordwijk? The Netherlands. And that is the creator of it. Yes. This thing, the chamber that it sits in is 15 meters high by 10 meters in diameter. Yeah, and this explains it. An array of 19 ion lamp modules, each consuming 20. How do you say that? KW. What is that? Kilowatts? It's kilowatts, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Consuming 25 kilowatts, casts a concentrated beam of artificial sunlight into Europe's largest chamber at the Large Space Simulator. Tex, why don't you take it away?
You're funny. What are you wanting me to take away exactly? Like, are you wanting me to get into like the stuff that I was watching with Totoro?
No. I want you just to finish reading.
Where did you stop?
I have it highlighted for you.
Oh, you want me to read all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Part of ESA's ESTEC STEC, is that what they're saying? Either way, test center in Noordwijk, the Netherlands, the 15-meter high, 10-meter diameter chamber subjects satellites to simulated space conditions for weeks at a time, deep vacuum, unfiltered sunlight, and the chill of space recreated by liquid nitrogen being pumped around the walls. Not all lamps are required to simulate the sunlight encountered on Earth orbit, but in order to recreate the challenging sunlight intensity encountered around Mercury, all the lamps are operated at a maximum power, and their usually cylindrical sunbeam is slightly tightened.
So, in retrospect, this thing isn't even in the sky. It's not in space, for that matter. Now, Totoro, this is where you come into this wonderful fold.
Oh my.
What would it take? This is really gonna sound dumb because I'm thinking about it. I'm realizing the answer as I'm saying it. What would it take in comparison? So this thing pumps out 25. What did it say? 25 kilowatts.
Well, 19 times 25, yeah.
Yes, per bulb.
It's actually what it chews down. It pumps out less than that because you're gonna have efficiency loss. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, you would say that if you shine this on a person, you're gonna fry them.
Not necessarily. Actually, it will depend on where they are. I mean, probably at full power, they would be very uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. That would be the oven.
Yeah,
oven versus.
That'd be the Mercury simulation mode, where you basically just put them in like a like a high heat lamp or something. I don't know. Wouldn't be very pleasant.
Yes, so in the
chamber, ever seen a weenie in the little rotator boxes up at the 7-Eleven?
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same thing, but it's been
sizzling sausage look.
Okay, and it would take a little time because there's no atmosphere to egg it along. It'd be a radiation burn, right? That's what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here's the question: how many of these would it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop to light up half the Earth?
Depends on how far out.
A whole heap of juice, I can tell you that. Quite easy. You know what the surface area of a sphere is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The equation is 4 pi r squared. So 4 pi r squared is 6371000 squared. That would be in meters.
Good morning, Travis.
And the sun's, so the thing is, the sun's intensity per meter squared is approximately 1000 watts. So that's about the target you gotta hit. So it would take, let me just do some quick, so I can give it to you in scale. It would take about 5 times 10 to the power of 17 watts, which would be terawatts is 12. exapetawatts, something like 500 pet. No, sorry, 500 exawatts. Yeah, there we go.
500 exawatts.
Yes, gigawatts. Give or take, that is about 100,000 times the total energy production of all power plants on the Earth.
So just to be clear, from my mind, we're talking about La La Land, right?
Yes, I think that was Shawn's idea, was to illustrate that to simulate the sun over all of the Earth, or half of the Earth, would be impossible.
Yeah. And even if it was possible, like for instance, if you could put this thing far enough away, it could probably cast light on Earth.
Oh my God,
But
Tex, go on mute.
I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, what was it? Okay. It could probably cast light on Earth, but it wouldn't be sunshine. It sure as hell wouldn't be sudden like the warmth. It would I don't even think we would see it at that distance.
So it depends on where you place it, right? If you mean like in the how far away you want to place it, how much of surface area you want to illuminate, that's the question, really.
Well, the bigger problem is if you go too far, you have to add more of them.
Oh my God, can we talk about reality? Look, guys, I appreciate this, but we're talking about La La Land. Why are you wasting everybody's time? This isn't real.
Because wait, the sun simulator isn't real?
No.
Time out, Travis. Do you see my screen?
I'm driving right now. It's a small screen.
Okay. I am literally showing the sun simulator.
Okay, is that a drawing?
No, that's the
No,
actual
it's a
one.
Photograph.
It's a photograph of a sun simulator.
Here's one with the owner sitting on it.
Okay. Where have they demonstrated this capacity?
They used it to test satellites.
Yeah, inside the ESA space. I'm trying to read it on the wrong screen. In ESA's large space simulator vacuum chamber.
Okay, so nobody like you or I has ever seen this in real life.
A lot of people have seen this in real life. You can actually go there. Let me show you, actually, because I was going to show you guys. You can actually take a tour. You can take a tour to this facility.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm perfectly okay with a facility doing this. I'm saying, because I was messing around with my headset, I was trying to get all things lined up, so I didn't hear everything before this. Forgive me. I'm trying to talk about like this whole sun simulator in our world. Like our sun isn't simulated in this way.
No.
You know what I mean? Like we have no
absolutely
proof
not.
of that.
No. I played a upload a little while ago. There are a few flat earthers that are saying that the final experiment will be the 24-hour sun, if seen, would be because of this. So what I did is I started looking into it, found out that it's only used in a vacuum chamber. It's not even a thing in space. So you're right. It's not real. It's not a real thing in space. Not at all.
Yeah,
right.
It's a piece of test equipment.
Just to be that antagonistic, Richard, again, this whole final experiment and 24-hour sun is complete misdirection. It's absolutely worthless to the argument of whether or not the Earth is flat or round. Has nothing to do with anything like that.
I agree. It won't fix anything. But it's great evidence, and it does actually is evidence for a globe. I'm sorry, but as in relation to this argument, this debate that is happening, no, it won't do shit. I'll throw a couple riffs, a couple waves in the water, but nothing to throw a hat at or phrase the final experiment. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's it's one of those things, Travis. It is a real thing, 100%. Promise you, wouldn't lie to you, buddy. Let me see. Oh, so what I was asking or saying, it would have to be. Well, here's the problem. Let's pretend it was for a second. Oh, Travis left. Let's pretend it is for a second in space. it would have to be pretty damn close to be looking like a sun. And that's about as good as it would get. Because
I
it
don't think
can't
it.
emulate anything.
I don't think it would even look like a sun at all. The purpose of this device that you showed there is not to look like a sun. It's to cause an effect on a target like the sun. So it's basically just trying to emulate the effects of the sunlight. But if you looked at it from the front, it would just look like 19 powerful arc lamps. And that's about it.
Yes, it would look. This is obviously. Oh, where the fuck did it go? Obviously a drawing, but you at least get the idea. I'm trying to opening it up in a tab so people can see it. All right, that's much better. If you were to walk into the vacuum chamber, it would look like this. That is the setup that they use, and they change different beams and what do you call it? Situations. They change the variables. There you go. They change the variables inside the chamber to match what they need, right? If they're going to use this thing differently to test a Parker probe than they would, say, the James Webb telescope. And
Sure,
I don't know if I don't know if they actually tested those things on this, but that would be the differences in why they would start changing shit inside the chamber as to optics and stuff like that. Yeah, because if something's on Mars and they use this, they're going to want to simulate somewhat of an atmosphere or lensing effect.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the sun simulator.
So the simulation, the purpose of these tests is really to test the thermal solutions on the satellites. The problem with when you place something in space is that you have a lot of issues with managing thermal conditions on the system. So when you're obviously in a vacuum, you do not have any conduction of heat away, right? The only way you can get heat out of the system is by radiating it out. And then you have the other problem is that you have on one side a 1,000 in space is about 1,200 watts per square meter of heat coming onto you, and from the other side you have absolutely nothing. If it's fairly far in space. Otherwise, if there's the Earth, it actually radiates a bunch of stuff back at you if you're on the sunny side. And then let's say it's in low Earth orbit. 45 minutes later, you're going to be suddenly in complete darkness with nothing coming in, and suddenly you are just radiating heat out. So you need to basically design your thermal control system such that it is able to handle with this fairly stressful environment. And know that from high school physics that the most inefficient way to get heat out of a system is by radiation. There are much more efficient ways, which is conduction basically, and convection, and neither of those is available to you in a vacuum. So the only way to get stuff away is by radiation. That's why when you look on the ISS, the big solar panel-y looking things, only about half of them are solar panels. The rest of them are radiators. They're literally just trying to get the heat out of the station so they don't overheat.
Yeah.
So the purpose of this thing is just to test the thermal solution and the thermal control systems on a satellite.
Yeah, it kind of be like putting a glass bottle in the sun for 8 hours and then instantly putting it in the freezer and seeing what happens.
Sort of,
in a sense.
Yeah, the problem is basically
yours are more to the extreme. What you're explaining is way more extreme. But it'd be an example of something you could do in your house right now.
Sort of not just a glass bottle. Imagine more like putting a computer in that kind of an environment, because satellites are not just passive blocks of ice or water. They have active electronics inside of them that radiate heat. They have motors, they have various sensors and emitters, and that will itself generate heat. So you have to have some sort of a thermal control system on board to manage the heat. So your parts don't overheat or don't underheat. They don't freeze. That's also bad. Batteries generally don't really like the heat too much.
They don't like to freeze too much either.
Yeah, that too. So obviously, at that point, you have to have some sort of a thermal management system.
I just have a real quick question.
Go ahead.
If let's just say a big if you found out that this world that you think you live in isn't what you thought, would you like your money back?
I want everything back, and I have to rethink everything.
No, but my point is, like, all of this stuff that this gentleman is telling us in my world is pure bunk, right?
Why?
So my question is, and I realize that it's my opinion. I get that. My point is, if any of you come to the realization where you say, okay, my opinion now is changing away from, you don't have to think that the earth is flat. I don't give a shit about that. But if you come to question the metaphysics of space as you've been taught, and you come to the decision, you're like, yeah, this stuff's not real. My question is, do you want your money back?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Absolutely.
I ask you the same question.
I'm gonna say no. But I'll explain why I'm saying no after y'all are done discussing it. Because it's going to transition into a completely different topic.
So, Shawn, you're asking me if I want my money back?
Yeah, are you going to want your money back?
I already want my money. I want every single goddamn extorted cent that has been taken out of my existence since I started working with my social security number and everything after that. Yeah, I want every single goddamn cent back. You bet.
Okay. That's got you to the point where you are now. But in the same token, what if it's a globe? Is what happens? What would happen if you realize it was a globe, and with your observations, your work?
Well, I wouldn't have to get my money back because it's already spent.
You wouldn't want it back? You wouldn't feel like you...
No. Listen, I think you're missing the point of your question. Okay, look, if I got to the point of realizing that, oh, you know what, we do live on a globe and space is real, I wouldn't be asking NASA for my money back because it would now then go toward, continuing to explore the final frontier.
But okay, what if NASA is doing what they're doing?
They're not.
Okay, that's not what I asked you. I didn't say, Travis, is NASA doing what they're doing? I said, what if they are doing? Because you posed that question to us.
Yeah, okay, but see, your question is a non sequitur. If NASA is doing exactly what we think they are doing, then I don't need any of my money back because it's money well spent. Damn it. Keep giving me all those cartoons and CGIs, baby.
Okay, so then I'll answer your question. If it is not as they say, and it is all bullshit, then why would I want my money back? It's already well spent.
Your question doesn't make sense to me. I do not understand the way
it wasn't a question.
This whole premise does not make sense to me. Y'all had me in the first half, and then y'all your train derailed.
Okay, so this is what he's asking.
Would be me, then.
I see what he's asking. He's ultimately asking, what would you want? Reparation, I guess. If you were to find out that everything you think with NASA physics is wrong, what are you going to want back from that? The problem is that it's, if I pose a question to you, you've told me it wouldn't make a difference to you. And then when we say it wouldn't make a difference, you go, that doesn't make sense.
I can't make it make sense for you, Shawn. The way that I hear you talking right now, you're the one with the glitch, not me.
Which part of the glitch? Because I completely understand what I'm saying. I understand that if things that I believe are to be right turn out to be wrong, that I have to rethink how I understand them. I've done this numerous times, obviously. It's a reflection of what I do here.
How about this? This is an analogy, okay? And we all know that analogies break down to some extent. So forgive me for that, but I think this analogy works. I'm a child being raised by parents who tell me that Santa Claus exists. When I misbehave, my parents tell me that I have to put pennies, like I have an allowance. I clean my room, I get a dime. I take out the trash, I get 25 cents, whatever. I'm saving up my money. However, like a swear jar, I have a disobedience jar. And my parents say to me, when you're disobedient, Santa Claus knows. And in order for you to make up for that disobedience, this is what the penalty is. You have to put in $1 for every this, $1 for every that. So they're taxing me and extorting money from me and coercing me to pay Santa Claus to bring me presents. Now, hold on. When I get to be 16 years old and I'm like, this is bullshit. This system is complete bullshit. Do you think I wouldn't want my parents to give me all that money back?
No.
Wow. Okay.
What you're Tex is right. What you're asking is very odd.
I don't think that it's an odd ask. I think it's just, I think that the way that you're articulating it is odd.
Okay, so then if it could be improved, right? If if it is a worthwhile, avenue for us to go down, how would you, if you understand what I'm asking?
Why is the presupposition that NASA or the science community owes us anything?
Because they stole money from us.
They didn't steal money from us. The government gave it to them. Get mad at the government, not at the private corporations that are utilizing the money.
No, this is all splitting hairs. Okay, fine. If you don't want me to sue NASA, then I have to sue the government. Either way, I'm saying whoever stole my money, give me that money back.
Why are you making the assumption that it was stolen? Why are you asserting that
my God.
it was stolen? Let me say it that way.
Do you know what extortion is?
Sure, but I don't see any evidence of extortion taking place.
That's regardless of whether or not
it's not. No, okay, Travis, you hang on, Travis. When you say it's extortion, this is the problem. You would then have to prove that NASA doesn't go to space, basically.
No, I wouldn't have to do that. No.
Then what is extortion?
Extortion is theft by threat. If you if you don't give me this money, I will put you in prison. That's extortion.
NASA has never said, if you don't give us money, you'll go to prison.
Okay, fine. Then we have to go to the person that is extorting the money, which would be Big G, the government.
Okay, perfect. So now we can get off NASA's dick.
Oh my God. See, that's why you guys are
essentially wrong.
This is where you guys lose track. This is where it happened. Hold on. You completely missed the forest for the tree. It does, like, you should be able to make the leap past NASA to the government and understand that my argument still remains.
Okay, no, and I agree with you, Travis. I think that government should be accountable for all the money they stole from us. But we started off by saying NASA, and you say I should automatically equate that with the government, and I don't.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So then what do you do with the web address of nasa.gov? What does that mean to you?
It's a website that goes to an agency that explores space.
Why does it say
federal
GOV?
Grant?
Why does
because
it say GOV,
gets federal grants?
Because
it gets federal grants.
Okay, I back out. I'm gonna back out of this. Go ahead.
Because it's a private organization.
Hang on, Tex. The money that they get is minuscule compared to all the other agencies. The 56 million that you're talking about is also spread thin between agents or projects and agencies that NASA is ahead of. But there's a whole space agency that encompasses NASA, military space. Like there's agencies, or I'm sorry, the taxes that go to it are actually a lot more than that, Travis. You guys complain about the 56 million that NASA spends, and that is like 10% of the total budget that the space exploration gets. You understand that part, right? So when you guys are talking about how much money is this and money is that, NASA's the least of your fucking worries. The money that we go to is a penny out of your taxes on the year. What money do you want back? So how many times you pay taxes, Travis? You want 75 cents back? I got you, buddy. Where is it? You need 75 cents? Because that's all that we're talking about right now. NASA is not the problem. You brought NASA up as a problem. If you want to talk about the government, different topic, I'm more than willing to talk about it because I think the government does owe the people.
Sorry, I'm going to have to drop and come back. I apologize.
Yep, no worries. All right. Totoro.
Yep.
Man of the hour. You said you wanted to talk to me. You said you were going to call me out. You said you were going to come to my house, pull me out into the street, and beat me with a fucking beer bottle. What's up?
I'm not sure I'd put it that way. So,
no, but you wanted to discuss some of the things I had talked about Gigantopithecus.
Yes, but
a couple
are we done with the solar simulator stuff, or do you wanna explore that a little bit more?
Give it a few seconds because Travis might pop back in. And
yeah, we can keep talking about that. Absolutely. Did you want to add to it?
So I don't know if you have some more info about some of these weirdos that are saying that the sun's going to be simulated. I mean, go ahead. But there's many ways we can tell quite easily that the sun ain't simulated. There are pretty hard physical constraints that are quite easy to observe, which would not be possible to simulate. Things like the intensity of the sunlight. So first of all, obviously, you look in the sky from Antarctica, no matter where you stand, the sun's at the same angle. So obviously, it's gonna have to be pretty far. So by that token, you can already calculate, okay, how many hundreds of megawatts of power would have to go into this thing. So are there some hidden power plants on Antarctica just to simulate the sun? Yeah, and those are going to have to be some beefy cables going to that device. So obviously, nah. How would it be dragged across the sky? It ain't happening. Because the thing, if you wanted to simulate even the sun for like a small village, that device would probably weigh thousands of tons. You're not putting that in the sky.
Yeah.
So that'd be like equivalent of trying to fly a tanker ship in the sky. So that's not happening.
Yeah. So I was looking, and I just ran into the images of Germany's artificial sun, and their artificial sun makes Europe's look like a bitch.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean,
huge.
You can pump as much power into it as you want. It's not a question. But the problem is, are you going to be doing that in a highly remote area? And then the next thing is, even this thing, as much as impressive as it looks, if you looked at it from a mile or two away, it would be tiny. You couldn't you could barely read by it. It would be so dim. And so what you could easily do in Antarctica is you could take a solar panel of a known power, of a known rating, right? So you've tested previously, you know how many watts of power it gets at your normal latitude. You take it out in Antarctica, point it at the sun, and as long as you get pretty much the same power out of it, you can quite easily calculate, okay, how much energy must that thing put out? Conservation of energy, right? How much goes in, that's how much has to come out, or actually more has to go in that is able to come out. So by that quite simple virtue, you'd be able to calculate in very simple terms how much energy they have to be pumping into this, and you just wind up with hundreds and megawatts, probably in the gigawatt range, if you wanted to get anything even slightly resembling the sun. And then there's the other problem. You can take an infrared camera with a solar filter, point it at the thing, and ask people up here in the northern hemisphere, hey, can you please take a look at the sun? What does it look like? Send me a picture, and let's compare notes. Same thing, just upside down. So
yeah. And I also just realized if they did use a sun simulator, the issue then would be, because you talked about the power consumption that it would take to be seen, right? Size and everything to be seen.
Yes.
The bigger issue would be its radiant heat that it gives off, because in Antarctica, even in Antarctica, where it's always snow and ice, there is temperature, and there is a big difference in temperature between no sun and the sun being out. If the sun simulator was it, you wouldn't see a temperature variant. The temperature would be just as cold, if maybe a few degrees warmer, just because there is some type of light, maybe. Yeah, because the flashlight even emits heat. But yeah, and it's just not. It's not even.
So the sun simulator is designed not to work quite like a flashlight. It's supposed to simulate the spectrum of the sun, and the spectrum of the sun is essentially what we call a black body. So it emits a fair amount of visible light, but it also emits a fairly large, substantial amount of infrared radiation. That's what you perceive typically as heat. Nevertheless, you could take a spectral analyzer and see if the thing that you're seeing in the sky has the spectrum of the sun. But a solar simulator of sufficient sophistication would probably be able to reproduce the spectrum, no problem, right? That's not the question here. The question is how much. How much power would you have to gulp down to simulate the sun convincingly at any reasonable distance? And the amount of power is just absolutely monumental. You wouldn't be able to illuminate the landscape like the sun does unless you just pumped hundreds of gigawatts into the thing, probably. I'd have to run the numbers here, but I can tell you already it's going to be silly at the end.
Well, could you use the sun? It doesn't even make sense. Can you use the sun to power the sun simulator to
Right, sure. Just put a sun-sized mirror into orbit, and then what are we even talking about?
There's that guy that made that fucking death ray out of this giant magnifying glass.
The Fresnel lens. It was proposed for many of reasons. But in
Fresnel
the end,
lens?
Yes, a Fresnel lens.
Well, Fresnel lenses are just a type of lens.
Yeah, I'll show you. No.
I know what you mean. Fresnel lenses are a type of flat lens where the refractive effect itself is not because of the shape of the lens, but because of grooves that are basically cut into it. You can.
No, this is different. This gentleman, well, and maybe it isn't different. I don't know, but this gentleman had two, like he had double paned glass, right?
Yeah.
And they're both just slightly convex. And so there is like this weird distortion, almost like circular distortion towards the center of this giant fucking magnifying glass.
I like those French fries in space. Sorry.
What?
Shawn had a picture of French fries in space.
He's talking about this one.
That needs to be your new logo right there. French fries in space, Truth Army, right there.
Yeah. So this is the Fresnel lens. There's been many proposals.
James Webb.
No.
Oh, the one you're pointing at right now. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. This one. Yeah. It's been proposed for many things. I know you remember early industrial. Climate scientists were playing we're going to freeze. This was one way to melt the poles. They have thought about using this as a way to deflect sun's UV light. There's so many others. Death ray.
So, yeah, I get it. They're basically, so the Fresnel lens wouldn't actually deflect. It would mostly serve as a concentrating lens, right? As a focusing lens to focus the light more from a larger surface area onto a smaller surface area. But the thing is, when you're looking at these pictures here, these are, let's just say they're not technically correct. They're not schematics, right? These are just little concepts that some artist drew from some description that was given to him. In order to get any kind of effect on something the size of a planet like Mars, these Fresnel lenses would have to be hundreds of miles across.
Yes.
That would not look like that, I can tell you.
Okay, so I'm happy I saw this. Okay, no, this isn't it. There is a guy. I don't have time to find it. Okay, so the reason I know about this, when I used to watch the channel, it's called 3D Climate Viewer. They were posing it as like a geoengineering project to, like I was saying, to divert the light ray and all that stuff. When they described it, it was the lens would have to be, if I remember correctly, 200 miles wide by, I think it's 100 miles tall.
Right. Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And it would have to be in geostationary orbit.
Right.
At some point. I forget the exact distance. You probably know the exact distance for that. But yeah, it's a real proposed thing. It's not like, we are really just pulling shit out of our ass. Like it's just a proposed idea for many different ideas of solutions to different crap. But then that's where the conspiracy ran with it. This can also be used on Earth, can it? If you build the lens, it's a method to make low power much higher, isn't it?
No. Lenses themselves don't produce power or change anything like that. All they do is they just either concentrate or disperse light.
That's what I
That's
meant.
all they do. So if
The
you have a large,
concentration.
right? So if you had a large surface area of which you have, so it's typically, so for example, it's used sometimes in solar power generation, where it allows you to use a much smaller piece of crystalline silicon for the actual, like the active solar semiconductor part, and you can increase its effective gathering area by placing a large lens over it. The lens, being essentially just glass, is much cheaper to fabricate than the expensive solar panel, the active electronic part underneath. So you are able to effectively increase the gathering area if you have, if you have that kind of a setup. Oftentimes, it's not quite so simple because you end up with issues with heat. Solar panels are actually kind of sensitive to heat, so you don't want to have them overheat. Anyway, the point is, it can make sense if you want to concentrate or disperse light. That's about all you can do with them.
It's basically a magnifying glass.
Pretty much, yeah. Very close to it, yeah. If you wanna burn car-sized ants, perfect stuff. But other than that,
no, because if you change the distance between the light source and the magnifying glass, you don't do that.
If you have, well, no, of course, I'm talking about changing the distance between, well, the geometry of the lens will depend on it, where the focal point is, and how far the lens is from the subject, right? So if it's right at the focal point, you're going to get maximum concentration. If it's out of focus, then more or less.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry,
so
less.
It works. I have a question, Travis.
I have an answer for you, Shawn.
Did you fucking shave?
I shave, like every other day, every third day. Like, what are you talking about?
No. Did you shave your face completely naked?
No, I have facial hair right now. I have done.
Okay, yeah. No. 'Cause I was watching your uploads, and I noticed in a few of your uploads.
Yeah, that was from last year. Those were lost files from last year.
Okay, you scared me a little bit, man. Shit was. Don't do that. You don't look like Travis. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, yeah, I totally get that. When I remember as a child, this is like, it's so interesting. I'm going to have to watch the movie Inside Out again, the cartoon with the, girl that has all the emotions and stuff like that, right? Because we have all these core memories and things about us that make us who we are. I remember that whenever my dad shaved his mustache, I always thought that his upper lip looked like just this massive amount of empty space of where his mustache used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
well, put it this way:
yeah.
The reason I feel this way because if I shave, I look like a 13-year-old boy. It's fucking insane. Like I could show you a picture when I was a kid, and if I shaved, I would look exactly the fucking same.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me throw this out there. It's complete non sequitur, and I think you'll find it interesting.
Absolutely.
Now, it might exist, but I've never seen it, and the people that I've mentioned this to don't think that it exists. However, you're going to hear me say it now. I'm going to be working towards it, and it's a free market, so whatever it is what it is. When people get into my Uber or Lyft and they are wafting 420, I always say to that person, hey, you're wearing my favorite cologne, or hey, you're wearing my favorite perfume. And they always go like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're wearing 420, aren't you? And they always crack up laughing. Bro, we have to create the next new scent, which would be called 420.
No, it's cannabis for men or women.
So it exists?
No, but I did. I just made that up.
It does exist. It's called blunt spray.
Say it again.
No, Cannabi for men or Cannabi for women. That is my brand.
Okay, listen, hold on.
Patent pending.
Okay, first of all, are we in collaboration right now? Because this is my
Yes.
idea.
Yep, we're in collaboration.
Let's
Absolutely.
do it, bro. Let's make it happen.
Yep. Different strands. It'd be fucking amazing.
So goddamn absolutely, yes. Yes.
I think we should all collab.
Let's make this happen.
I think Totoro would be a very good part of this. He's very smart. He could probably do like the chemistry stuff.
Sure.
See? You're part of it. I already said you were part of it. Jesus.
Now imagine this. Imagine this, right? I've already made tinctures of my Donnie burger. So I made tinctures, right? I used
I just had some Donnie burger last week.
Oh my god, I love Donnie burger. But I used what the hell is it called? Everclear, right? I used Everclear, dropped the bud in, I dropped the bud inside, and I infused the Everclear with cannabis. Okay, you will get high, you can get high. So imagine if we start making deodorant with that shit in it. You put that in your pit. Woo-hoo! It's like an edible in your armpit.
What the fuck?
Have you ever drank the tincture once you've made it? Because I have made.
I have, yeah. I took
margaritas
a
with
few
it.
Drops, like I took about 5 drops in my mouth, and yeah, I was lit.
5? You only took? No, you got to at least take a shot.
Jesus Christ, you guys have issues.
Listen, I was just testing out my tincture to begin with, but
take it.
You guys would be proud
put
of me.
You a double shot in some 1800 tequila.
Oh yeah,
that's so gross.
Yeah.
My stomach burns just thinking about that. So
I should be getting a new supply in the mail soon, and I will be making some new contraband. But I do side work as a tour driver for a brewing tour company. And so you can imagine I have a lot of inebriated passengers. So once they start getting loosed up, I break out my Everclear version of Fireball. I make my own version of Fireball. And man, that shit will knock you out.
I will never drink that. I will never in my life drink Fireball again. Ever. It is the worst. A friend of mine tried to basically kill me, feeding me shots nonstop. That's probably why I don't drink very often anymore. Just because of that. Ugh. But we digressed. We digressed hard. Totoro. It's our time now. You said you wanted to take me outside, beat me with a beer bottle. Let's do this.
No, not quite. I wanted to clarify what you meant when you were talking about Gigantopithecus.
Mm-hmm.
If I understood it right, your point on that live stream was that there were 3 teeth and parts of a jaw, and from that they've reconstructed an entire appearance of an animal. Is that the gist of your point?
The gist, yes.
Right. Okay. In that case, I mean, I can send you a whole article that details the history of the discoveries, and so first, and your contention is that there's been nothing else found or that?
As far as I know, the only fossil record of Gigantopithecus is a jawbone and hundreds of teeth.
So there's actually thousands of them at this point.
My bad. Thousands of teeth. Or are you saying jawbones?
No, so there's actually 4 partial jawbones that have been found.
Okay.
And there have been close to 2,000 teeth that have been found over the years. And my point being is that there are ways we can determine that the size of an animal based upon the mandible and its dental composition, right? So if you know, teeth are kind of like a fingerprint of a species. If you've got enough of them, you can actually construct a dental record. You can identify which teeth are similar to each other. You can then determine, okay, which extant or known fossil species is resembling this tooth pattern, and from that we know.
And this being for people, primates, ones that eat, only plants, and sometimes meat, are going to have a different type of pattern. You're going to have a recognition.
Yes.
You're going to see patterns between different species. A feline is going to have different teeth with different shapes,
Right.
etc.
So here's how we know. And by the way, when we're talking about speculative species, we know we have a lot of uncertainty. The point of paleontology is not to say it for sure looked like this. If you read any of the papers, if you even went to the Wikipedia page and scroll down to the references, read the papers that are in like Nature and other sources on other kind of archives, the papers do not actually contain any representations of the animal itself. They'll never draw it. They'll never say that it must have looked like this. What you're seeing in a museum is just a sort of cute picture drawn for the general public, because the general public does not grasp or does not want to just work with the data that the scientists have. But the scientists do not themselves actually claim that it looked like this.
Yeah, it is literally. Oh, no. Okay. Here we go. This is. I see the hang on. I see the disconnect. I understand that what we are looking at on the screen is an artist's rendition of his best guess with the information that he has from different sources. I understand that. The issue that I have is that people use. Well, this is what started it. Someone was in the chat saying, or in the voice chat saying, that because we have the bones, the jaw bones, and the teeth, we can. Matter of fact, I think it was Brenda. We can make an accurate representation of the creature. And what I had done is I had asked the question of, well, what about when we look at like a bonobo ape, which we know is taller than, say, a gorilla, but the gorilla has more mass.
Right. So we can't say for sure about the mass. What we can say relative. So there are, again, these are error bars. We know that they are part of the Ponginae species family, basically, right? I don't know the exact taxonomic term there, but the idea is that they are part of the orangutan family of species. That is evident from their tooth structure and their jawbone structure. And there's actually a very good reason why we don't have more bones than that. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I believe it's because of the density.
It's because some critters that live in the area, porcupines, so it's not a very swampy area where most of the bones have been found, and porcupines are such little shits that they'll gnaw on bones and they'll chew them up and destroy them. They'll literally even extract the tooth roots out of the teeth, because that's where they can still get a little bit of nutrient. And so they basically just throw away the hard enamel top, just the crown of the tooth, because they can't process that. So the way we found these gigantopiths is we found caves of porcupines with hundreds and hundreds of teeth in them, because they literally concentrate the carcasses. They'll drag the entire carcass in, they'll gnaw it up, eat it, and just throw away the inedible parts. So they're basically carcass eaters. And if there's not many swamps there, if the animal dies in a swamp, that's where we usually find the best preserved samples.
Yeah,
because it'll get sedimented over, and that will preserve the animal. But if it's in a fairly dry and high mountain area like southern China, it's fairly rare to get a very complete specimen. But we do have parts of 4 jawbones, and we've so far identified that 2 of them are probably male. One of them is probably a female, and I think the third one is the fourth one is unclear. But here's the thing: if you look at, we even have. How do we know that these teeth? For example, what sort of parameters can we determine just from teeth? So because we know that they look very similar to orangutan type teeth, they are probably in that similar family, but they have they have much larger teeth for the spots where orangutans have similar teeth. So from that, just by the scale of it, you can guess that if it's an orangutan type creature, you can scale up the proportions, and from the scale of proportions, you can guess at the mass. It's going to be inaccurate, yes, but we can make a guess with large error bars. Here's another piece of data that we can determine from that, a parameter called sexual dimorphism from the species. That's from the paper that I've just posted in chat there. If you categorize similar teeth from the finds that you have, and you basically group them up and find out the sizes, you'll see that it creates this kind of bimodal distribution. This is essentially us suspecting that this is their sexual dimorphism, right? So the females and the males typically separate into these two size categories. And from that, we've determined that among the orangutan family, their sexual dimorphism is approximately 1.37. So males are approximately 37% larger than the females. Just
and
on
that's
that.
What we also find that in our primate species now.
Yes, exactly.
People,
if you had a lot of humans
gorillas,
and compared our teeth, you'd find that we also have this kind of a bimodal distribution. And that lets you guess at the rough sort of sexual dimorphism of the species.
Okay. So with that, and then, again, let me lay this out before we keep going. I know it was real. I know it was real. It is the crux of why I believe that Bigfoot could be real. I don't have evidence. I don't think I do. I just, because of Gigantopithecus, a Bigfoot-like creature, is possible based on that, to me, period. Not that Gigantopithecus is running around. I'm not saying that at all.
Sure. Is there an extinct hominid that might have fallen into that category? Maybe. One thing that you'll never find a paleoanthropologist saying is that something will never be found. Obviously, stuff can be found that we didn't know about. Same thing for this. I mean, before the 1920s, we didn't know about this particular extinct hominid. But it's just a matter of, like, if you want to first, like, I have no problem if you want to call this Bigfoot, whatever. You just have to describe what it is sure. I'm just saying that if you want to be scientifically rigorous, you have to put parameters on what you're going to be considering Bigfoot, and then you have to compare it to this. We do not have the skeletal bones, right? So I don't know, but so far it seems, in terms of like the jaw structure and the tooth structure, much closer to orangutans than to us, which would be we'd be on the homine line instead of the pongonate, which would be Asian apes.
So then you would agree on this part where I say, based on that, we could easily say that Gigantopithecus could have been 6 feet tall.
Probably, and based upon our knowledge of what the size of tooth to orangutans is to their body mass, if you look at the size of these teeth, you're going to conclude that they probably weighed, they might have been 6 foot tall, but they probably weighed on the order of between 200 and 300 kilograms, which would make it about 500 to 600 pounds. They would be the largest hominids ever.
Yeah. That and again, this is what gives credence to it. The Bigfoot, as I was saying, excuse me. Now I'm going to ask a question, and I don't know if I'm asking it correctly. If we found a hominid like this, a Bigfoot, a Gigantopithecus type creature that dated back 1,000 years, would Bigfoot be more possible?
I don't know, maybe. There are no records. I mean, 1,000 years ago, you already have fairly highly developed records of things that are around, so it'd probably have to be a lot older than that. Probably something prehistory, before we had written records of anything. So you'd probably want to go back at least 10,000 years. But is it possible that a hominid in small groups roamed the area a few tens of thousands of years ago? Yes, we have the was it the Homo runefelsis, or which ones? There's like the Hobbit people that probably died out about 50,000 years ago. They were contemporary with us.
Yeah.
They would have been considered a subspecies. So could there have been a larger than us human variety? For sure. Yeah, absolutely. We just haven't found it yet.
To answer the question in the chat, Right the Hand says, so because a gorilla has a bone like I do, we came from gorillas. How stupid is that logic? That is extremely stupid logic, Right the Hand. No one here, nor does evolution, state that. So I don't know how to answer it. Your next question is even better. You are aware that every bone on display in a museum is fake bone. I would say, yeah, probably. But there's a good reason for that. One of the things that makes these fossils so possible is time and not being exposed to the elements. And when you put those things in a place like a museum where the elements would affect it, they deteriorate more. And the last thing you want to do is find something that is millions of years old and put it out in display for it to deteriorate and dissolve. So what they do is they make casts. It is a very big business for museums. It is the way that I was able to see a dinosaur in a museum, and then I was able to take my son and see that dinosaur in a museum, because if we use the actual fossils, that would not be possible. Every few years, they would deteriorate, break up, and then be useless, and then my son would see a pile of dust rather than the actual thing they're trying to display. It is a very big business. It's not like a hidden trick or secret that you uncovered, Right the Hand. I'm sorry. You're welcome to join the panel. I did pin the StreamYard into the chat. You're more than willing to come up and voice yourself.
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't come from gorillas. It's, by the way, I frequently hear you say that we didn't come from monkeys. So the question of why there are no monkeys, it kind of depends on how you ask the question. If you want to go by taxonomy, it's not that we came from monkeys. We are still monkeys. Everything that you would want to classify a monkey as would apply to us.
Correction. Not monkeys, old monkeys. That is the actual evolutionary term for our.
I mean, yeah.
The furthest back we can find, it would be the old monkey species. It is not a monkey with a tail. It's not the monkey you think that goes hoo hoo It is not.
No, well, that'd be probably chimps.
But
no, we are. I mean, there's a very good video on YouTube by a YouTuber who explains exactly how taxonomy works, and it's not so much that we come from monkeys. It's more like the way that taxonomic classification works. Everything that you would call a simian, a monkey, would still apply to us. Same way that we are still eukaryotes. The same way that we are bilateral. I can't say that word. Bilaterally symmetrical beings. Same way that we have, we are warm-blooded tetrapods. All that kind of stuff. So we carry the ancestry with us, and that includes the fact that we fall within the clade of monkey, although we are a much more, much further descended version of that, and changed over from what you would have probably considered the original ancestral species.
Yeah. Watchmaker. Okay, so I didn't say self-destruct, but Totoro can back me on this. If you put a fossil, and yes, there are certain ones, and they are in airtight containers, but we were talking about dinosaurs, and that'd be a fucking really big container.
Yeah.
So
but dinosaur fossils.
If you put a dinosaur fossil out on display, they will start deteriorating in a museum. Absolutely, after very short time. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong. If something has been preserved in that situation, and then it is exposed to the elements, its deterioration actually becomes more rapid, if I remember correctly.
So the question is how you want to display, right? If you just put it in a display cabinet under a protective atmosphere and you don't shine very a lot of light on it, then yeah, it can sit there for almost forever. But that is not all that interesting to people. What they want to see is they want to see an assembled dinosaur hanging just right there in the room with them, right?
Yeah.
They can walk around it. They can, well, you're probably going to get, ice cream on it from the kids, but the end point being is they want to be able to see it in 3D space built up. And that would absolutely destroy the fossils that we have. You'd have to drill into them, put in anchors and bolts and stuff. And it's just absolutely not conducive to a scientific experiment. So to not destroy the record that we have, because you have very tiny surface features on them as well that might get eroded away, like literally just surface impressions. In order to avoid having that happen, that's why we use casts, and that's why we make replicas, basically. And that's the stuff that we hang where it's within the reach of the most destructive force on Earth, which is kids' hands.
Yeah, and we clarified this.
We just make another cast or whatever.
Exactly, and we clarified this a little while ago. And I'll lay it out again for you right to hand, because you talked about some of the dinosaur stuff. I am in the camp that a lot of, and Totoro was pretty clear about this when we talked about Gigantopithecus. Yes, there are situations where there is a lot of speculation to what a dinosaur or any creature from ancient times that we're talking about looks like, if there's selective amount that they can find. The point is, T-Rex is probably the best example. They had a full T-Rex based off a tooth. We know that it's not that big. We know that there's been, what do you call it? Revisions to what T-Rex was until we found full fossil.
So that's the problem. If you have partial fossil finds, then you might be simply pigeonholed by the fact that you have limited data. So you might be drawing conclusions. You might have thought that you found the average, right? The average of the species, but you might not have. You might have found the largest one around or the smallest one around. So that's why you need more data to then. But if you only have very few fragmentary bone records, then you just put a very large error bar on it and say, we think this is our best guess, but it might just be very far off.
I just got to say that if I could make a living off of making bullshit up and saying, I just need more money to get better answers, that would be just peachy.
Try out refraction.
Mic check.
What's up, right ahead? How you doing, sir?
Good. Yeah, no, that's Travis. You nailed it. Of course it's big business. If I could sell oregano and tell people it's weed and they would keep coming back to see it and buy it, that'd be an awesome business. That's the same thing a museum does. They take something fake, they put it out there for the customer, tell them it's real, then the customer pays a real price to go see a fake object. Yeah, that's a great business, man.
Okay. Would you say that when you say fake, you're talking specifically the display, or are you saying that we don't find any of these things?
Whether you find, I'm not there when they dig, so I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about the bones we can go to the museum and look at. Everybody agrees they are replica bones made in China with plaster of Paris. So again, and to me, it would be like, if I was going to pay to a museum, maybe I'll pay like 50 cents to go see some replica bones, right? Maybe, but you're gonna be charging me $20 and you put it into this pattern that looks like a dinosaur. You're selling deception.
I agree, kind of. And I have thought about this before. Yes, I think that museums charge too much for a small percentage of the things that are there to not be accurate enough. But they got to make money so they can find more stuff.
I mean, I got to make money too. Does that mean I get to just be like, deceptive and immoral to keep my business afloat?
No, but unfortunately, that's what business tends to do, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah, and when we find out that the businesses do that, they tend to get a bad rap and people stay away from them. But in this case, it's like it's being justified. Like I could never see people if I did that in my business, I'd be out of business. If I told people I was cutting their lawns and they showed up and nothing was cut or I set up fake trees, right? I'm like, oh no, these trees don't grow. They'd be like, get the hell out of here.
Okay, but
I agree.
So I do agree, but that's an apples to oranges comparison because in your scenario, you're not doing any work, right? With Travis's statement, the reason I disagreed with Travis's statement was because the way he was prosing it, he was saying that NASA has not made any contributions, but most modern inventions are based off of NASA's research.
I would contest that.
Again, it's an apples to oranges comparison because your allegory, you're not rendering a service. NASA renders services. Whether it's what we wanted, that's a different story. But the point is, there is some profit in what NASA does to the point that the federal government feels that it's worth funding.
NASA doesn't make profit, right? So like if you think of any object or let's go the famous one, their miracle, what was it, that foam, the viscoelastic memory foam, they didn't invent that. Okay, all of NASA's inventions, quote, they just buy the patents. Okay, so like when you say, oh, well, NASA invented this. No, they didn't. They found a Swedish company that invented it. Then they bought the rights with our tax dollar money. Yeah. And then made it seem like they're not turning a profit. Okay. If they were turning a profit, they wouldn't need tax dollars money to keep them going. Right. Like Starbucks doesn't need tax dollars money.
So in that same breath, then you've destroyed your own argument because your whole scenario was based around the fact that if you're paying for something, a service needs to be rendered. So I stated to you that a service has been rendered and that's why they're being paid. And now you're asserting that they don't get paid. So which is it?
I'm saying, okay, when you pay taxes, some of that goes to NASA. I don't get to choose that.
Sure, yeah.
So they are getting my money. And what service? Tell me, as a person who is in a house in Florida, what service have I gotten for all of that of my money that has made its way to NASA? What has NASA provided me in terms of services?
Have you written with a ballpoint pen?
The what? The ballpoint pen?
With a pencil? Have you utilized math in any way, shape, or form past
NASA didn't invent math.
No, but they help.
So
they help produce.
In my life, you think something NASA contributed?
Right the hand. Let me lay it out like this.
GPS, yeah.
If NASA contracts that Swedish company to make Velcro, and Velcro is utilized by NASA, and it's not released to the public. NASA then decides we're use the fuck out of this. We're going to release this to the public and to the open sector is a better way of saying it. And because of that, it then becomes a revolutionary thing. Everyone that can't tie their shoes loves Velcro. That would be a rendered service.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the problem with that. NASA didn't contract the Swedish company. The Swedish company had already invented this product. Now, what NASA did was take my money, then go over to your money too, took our money, then went to this Swedish company and gave them an exorbitant amount of money for something that didn't cost anywhere near what they gave them, then brought it back and told us deceptively, hey, look at how good we are. Look at how much you need us. If it wasn't for us, you could have got this technology for $100,000, but because of our genius, we're going to charge you $70 billion for it. You need us.
But they didn't charge us $70 billion for it.
Yeah, they did. Bro, look up NASA's fucking budget over the course of their lifetime. That's how much you have paid.
Over the course of their lifetime?
And over the course, what have they given us? Velcro? A mattress? So for trillions of dollars, we've gotten Velcro and a memory foam mattress. I don't think that's a good investment. If you do, well,
there's absolutely an extended list, and if you want to put me in a camp, I would say the same thing. I'd say there's too much money going to it, but that's because none of my interests matter much to what they're doing. The other problem is how much do you think you're paying NASA every year? You personally?
It goes by based on how much you make, right? And I don't think the amount of money you pay, right? Because so now the argument would be, if I'm extremely wealthy, right? My family's wealthy, okay? So am I in here? Can I now say, well, my family's wealthy, they pay more money, I get to tell you guys, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's right. Like, if you pay $1 and I pay $1,000, we have both paid money. We are both expected something in return. And just because I've paid a larger portion, I don't think that I have a bigger right to say that I should get something in return as somebody who didn't.
Okay, what if, because you come from a good family, you run into some guy who has this wonderful invention, and problem is he just doesn't have the money for it, and you go, hey, I have the money for it, and I want to put my name on it. And he goes, I think that sounds worth it because I just want to get this out there. And you say, okay, well, it works out, and then you decide to market it. You're not going to be trying to make money on that market. And again, NASA is not even doing this. This is because of what NASA has brought to the open source market, because Sweden may not have. If they didn't, who knows who would have to buy it. Your family may have had to buy that patent or whatever the fuck it was to make that Velcro. So what ends up happening is what has happened is all NASA's done is funded something to innovate themselves, realized that it would be better for the public as well, and open sourced it. They didn't sell it to us. They open sourced it. They made it available to us. I think that's good, if anything.
It would be open source if nobody had ever paid any taxes and through no money given to us by anyone else.
I really don't. I don't
I'm not
get
who's raging.
the rage of it, right? Like,
she's talking
okay,
about the situation.
I'm not
just in general. The
Yeah,
severe distrust of NASA specifically. There are things that you can complain about when it comes to taxes that would
When
be
did I say I didn't
so
trust
much
them?
more worth the effort, right? Your whole argument is
never
based
said
on
I
this
didn't trust them.
concept that we are being stolen from by NASA because they take
that's not what I
taxes from
said.
us. That is why you brought up how much the federal government gives them. Okay? So let's not sit here and act like that's not the conversation that we're having, first off. Secondly, if that is going to be the ground you stand on, why are you not disparaging religions? Why are you not disparaging the tax-free organizations? Why are you not disparaging the corporations that get millions and millions of tax breaks every year and subsidize their employment's income through food stamps and Medicaid because they don't want to pay a livable wage? But we're going to focus on NASA getting $7 billion a year. That's the issue, is NASA. Not everything else the government's doing, just specifically NASA. Why is that?
Okay, first, I didn't say I never said I didn't trust. And Shawn agreed with the point I made. The point I made was the government will pay an exorbitant amount for a product that the private sector will pay a lot less for. So I never said, oh, I don't trust NASA. What I said was, when they went to that Swedish company to negotiate for Velcro, we got ripped off because they paid way more money than that product was worth, because that's what the government does. You can, if you look at anything the government does, they'll spend $50,000 on a toilet, right? Because they got to grease the wheel. Okay, yeah, that's my point. My point is that I don't trust government. My point is that they're incompetent when it comes to spending money. So why should I keep giving incompetent people money when they've proven time and time again that they're incompetent at spending it?
I agree.
Sure, but I still don't understand why the focus of the argument was specifically on NASA. If it's a generalized argument in that context, then yes, I would agree with you. The government sucks at spending our money. But to
No.
So
focus
why would you think
on NASA
NASA?
specifically, why is that the issue? Why NASA?
That
Of
was
all
what the
the other
conversation was
things.
about, right? Like
Well,
we were.
would you say that all agencies of the government do this, or are you being hyper specific on NASA?
No, it's government. That's what they do. Bro, I've worked with people that work for the government. I've taken a test for the government. Like I almost was there. It is there's nepotism rampant throughout the government. I don't know. So used to live in New York. And New York, all of the state police is state, fire department is state, sanitation is state. It's all state run, which is government. And you take tests. And it's like, oh, any member of the public, you could just come in and take the test. And yeah, you can become a fireman. You can become a policeman, until they tell you that if your dad or family member was a policeman, you get bonus points. So I got a 96 on the fireman test, which is it's a very hard test. And that's an amazing score. It meant nothing when people who got 85s were beating me because their dad was a fireman. So and this is what happens. This is what the government does. And this is what the government is. It's not an entity that is this, oh, just sign up, you can get in. It's just nepotism and a group of people that just want to milk everybody else for what they got.
Sure, yeah. I said this to Shawn last night, I said that federalism as a standalone is a great way to run a government, but its bastardization has come about due to its codependency on capitalism. It has bred greed, it has bred nepotism, and it's so deeply intermingled. And I'm speaking of American culture specifically. So
wait,
if you're not from here, sorry.
Does government breed that, or does being human breed that?
I think
there you go. That's
human.
It's human.
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, oh, we got to fix the government. I'm like, that's not the problem. It's the humans. And this is why everybody like, oh, we're going to hold an election. Why? Yeah. So you could get another greedy person in there?
Yeah, vote the less of the two evils. It doesn't make sense to me either. Actually, that's actually a great point right there, because we were just talking about this last night. I do not like when people say fuck government, because government is why your ass doesn't have to worry about fucking someone taking your house today. Government is the reason you don't have to fucking worry about being starving. Specifically,
can I stop you real quick? The only person, the only entity, and it's funny that you brought up the house, because I just had an issue with my house. The only people that can take my house is the government, right? So like I have a mortgage. Now, when I signed up for my mortgage, it was $600, okay? Now my mortgage is $950. Well, you could say, oh, the interest and your property tax went up, so your interest went up. But here's the thing. If you have the housing value going up, only benefits people who buy and sell houses. That's very rich people, okay? Or people who own them outright and rent them. BlackRock. I'm sure everybody here knows what's going on with BlackRock, okay? Mm-hmm. Your average person like me, when my home goes up in value, I just get fucked over, because the only thing that's happening is I have to pay more money, right? And you're like, oh, but your home went up in value. Okay, but I have to sell it and be homeless to get anything out of that. So the only people that benefit from this are people who are using houses as a product, not as where they live.
Yeah, I agree. I agree to an extent. Do you have water, electricity?
Yeah, I pay a separate utility. The highest, you could look up Gainesville, we're the highest utilities in America, actually, but that's neither here nor there.
Because I think a lot of people don't remember that when a property tax rises, it's because of the infrastructure that keeps that house going.
Yeah, but this actually all came about during the COVID, and it's not like my property.
Oh, okay.
I bought my house at 135. It's not like it went to 155, 160. Mm-hmm. Dude, it doubled. It doubled in value, and that's like unheard of. So yeah, it's the same fucking house, right? It's the same quarter acre it was 6 months ago. So how did it double in value? It's because the dollar went down, or they're, manipulating the housing markets.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And I think that has a lot to do with saving money for them, giving more money to them, because if the property values skyrocket, then the value of the city skyrockets, which means they can, quote unquote, raise taxes. You make more money, it's worth more money. It's a vicious cycle. The problem is that if it's done correctly, it keeps an infrastructure afloat and it keeps properties from diminishing.
Oh, sure.
But the problem is it's not.
Yeah, name me one city that's done it properly, right? Like no one, because it's New York. I'm from New York. That's where I left. That got it. It is so ridiculous to live in New York. If you want to buy a house, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here.
Like you guys, like there, a studio renting is like fucking $2,000, isn't it? 2,500 and shit.
Bro,
that is insane.
And that's, you know, again, and you make money, but you don't make, when you start looking at like how much you make versus, you know, how much things cost, it's actually a very poor, it's like a third world country, you know, because you're like, oh, I made $100,000, but like, yeah, you paid 95 in rent. Like you had $5,000 to your name, dude.
There is nowhere in the United States where you can rent a 2-bedroom apartment off the federal minimum.
That's crazy. Yeah. So 2 comments that were made. Watchmaker says the government ups your taxes, your mortgage rate, if you get a good one, should never change unless you refinance. And that's 100% right. Because the first house that me and my ex had gotten when we had our son, her dad had bought that house in the 70s, and our property tax was $56. Fucking amazing. The problem is that the way the infrastructure is set up, at some point in someone buying a house, they're going to refinance. They almost have to nowadays because it's so expensive, and because of that, that refinance is when they decide to then rape you for your money. I know this because she refinanced that house later after we had split up. That mortgage, their property value went up to $700.
Yeah, that's why I won't refinance, because I got such a good rate, right? And everybody, and this is another thing, people are like, oh, your house doubled in value. There's all this equity in your home. Refinance. But yeah, well, now you're refinancing and you got a 2% rate when you got your house, but now your refinance rate is 8 or 9. So you're getting killed.
The house I was talking about, Blue, didn't have a mortgage. The house was paid off. It was only a property tax we were dealing with. I understand the mortgage rates change and everything, but it's
well, mortgage rates are based on the property values.
Yeah, but the problem is that it's not set up for the value to stay profitable. It's set up for you to be easier for you to pay off the house and make it more unprofitable for you to sell. They don't want you selling your house.
Oh yeah. They want you to either fail to make the payment so they can get it back, or to stay in there and keep making the payment.
Exactly. That's why when you refinance to them, to me at least, when you refinance to them, what they're thinking is a opportunity to rewrite a contract. Yeah, that was for the taxes, Watchmaker. Property taxes, it wasn't a mortgage. Yeah, I think that's a big issue that we have. Not being the government does to us. I think the biggest issue is that when we have these conversations, a lot of people play this game as if it's the government. I mean, a lot of conspiracy theories think that way. The government is governing is the issue, when in reality it's just the fucked up people we have in there. And then this fucked up system we have now where it's like, hey, I don't like Trump, and I don't like fucking Biden or Kamala Harris at this point. But because I don't like this person more, I'm going to vote for the other person. To me, sounds like the worst idea in ever. I'd rather someone go, I don't know, I'm going to draw an Elmo. But we're not set up to do that. Or we're set up to do that, but we're not set up media-wise, socially, to go stop this fucking ridiculousness. We're set up and we're breeding motherfuckers that go, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, therefore I'm right, you're wrong. And that's where the problem starts. That just breeds more stupid people in government.
I've equated the whole flat ball Earth to Republican Democrat, right? Like it's just getting you into a dichotomy, and then once you're in the dichotomy, it doesn't matter which side you're on, or even if you deny the whole dichotomy, right? Like you can have ball earthers, then you can have flat earthers, and then you can have people that are in there saying they're both wrong, or you can have a concaver, but you're all still part of that, you're all still in that system.
Yeah. And I think that's to the detriment. I think if we stop playing this side game, we could probably get more answers, probably get more things resolved. The problem is that both sides are so fucking driven to be right. It's not driven to make everyone understand. Well, that's what they want, Robert. They literally want everyone to go into debt. Debt means, for as far as they're concerned, debt means sourceable income for them. They know it's going to be coming in if you have debt. You owe this, and we can we can sue, we can do all this stuff to get that money. Debt is 100% just their cash flow.
Yeah, picture the government's a car dealership, okay? But they sell everything they sell comes with a monthly payment. So no matter what you get, whether you buy a car, you got to give them a monthly payment. If you have land, you got to give them a monthly payment. So they're on this, it's this subscription-based life, right? Like you can't live a unsubscribed life. You have to pay monthly just to exist.
But there are options. I mean, you can move. You can leave the country. I think that's another thing a lot of people don't understand. We do make the choice to do this. I made the choice to have a mortgage. I have the choice to make a car payment. I have choices to make Amazon payments, Tex.
Don't you
we
dare.
have put ourselves in that structure to be okay. Right? Someone needs help. The most likely thing they're going to do is not go to their Senate or their congressman or their town hall and ask for help. They're going to get a loan. It's just what's made normal now.
I want to address this comment just real quickly. I'm sorry to kind of side panel here. Robert says the debtor is a slave to the lender. Lenders aren't welcome at my table. That's fair enough. But I think some of the best advice I've ever gotten was from my franchise owner. He said it's not about your income. It's about how you utilize your debts. So to a certain extent, I agree, but to a certain extent, I don't. I just wanted to say that real quick.
But at the same time, didn't he make money if you made money?
He absolutely made money. But that money was then funneled back into his business. He always made it a point to look like he was breaking even on books.
But do you think he really was, though?
No, I think he was in much more debt, but he lived a great lifestyle because he was able to just transfer debt from one collection to another, to another, to another. It is very risky. It's almost like trying to do a keto diet, right? Like if you do it wrong, you're going to fuck yourself up. But there are definitely many, many, many people that understand how to utilize debt and how to utilize taxes. And if you're smart about it, and you read enough into it, debt is not as scary as people make it out to be. But no government is going to teach you how to overthrow them, right? At the end of the day, our government runs on profit. And so they're not going to teach this to us. It's not going to be widely available. You have to put in the work to know how to do it.
Yeah, but see, wouldn't you think it'd be a better system if the government treated it like we don't want people in debt?
Absolutely.
Why aren't they teaching society to not be in debt. All they're doing is teaching people that, and like what you're saying is you're basically going, oh, there's a great way to be in debt. There's a good way to be in debt. There's a way to be fine in debt. And realistically, debt is the worst. I don't know who you're
That's a
talking about, what it
bit of
is.
a misconstruing. My statement more has to do, or is more in line with what R.T.H was saying earlier. Essentially, there's nepotism involved, right? And so when you are somebody born into wealth, when you have generational wealth, you were taught certain things to make it to where you can continue to generate profit. And so you do end up knowing how to utilize debt in a way that is equitable for you. That's why when you look at, the richest people on earth on Forbes, they're saying their net worth, but they're not saying what their income is. And that's because their income is not needed, right? Because all of their income is being funneled into 5 or 7 different avenues of tax break or debt utilization or alternative forms of maintaining your assets. But the average person is not going to have the capital. They're not going to have the education, and they're not going to have the means to be able to utilize it in a way that somebody that's born into nepotism would be able to. And that's why it's so nefarious.
And that's why they should be, to solve all our issues, solve the issues, they should be teaching not to have debt. That is exactly why.
Well, and it says bring your best conspiracy, and this is my conspiracy, right? I think that the government definitely does want us to be in heavy debt. I think the government definitely does want wealth disparity. I do believe that all of this is in play in some way, shape, or form. And it's all a domino effect, essentially, in my mind.
The problem with that, Tex, is, and here's the problem with what you just said, and you're wrong. You're very fucking wrong.
You don't have to articulate it like that. You can say it with some respect.
I did. It's not a conspiracy.
Oh, it's not a conspiracy. No, it's true.
Not a conspiracy. I think the conspiracy is thinking it's okay. I think the conspiracy is thinking there's actual purpose for it. Because I was going to say this, because back in the day, before currency, there's this thing called trade. And with that trade, people definitely extended a value to their means, which they traded with. But there wasn't a monetary gain. There wasn't a profit mentality.
Right.
I think, again, the government, the people in government have figured out a way to profit, when in reality, the world shouldn't be a profit game. Because if it wasn't a profit game, then everyone would do what they needed to do to survive and be happy. It wouldn't be a game to be better than anyone else. The following the Joneses thing. Can we get back to that? Not without severe chaos.
Yeah. And I lost my train of thought, and you said something, it reminded me. This is where my conspiracy theory comes into play, right? I firmly believe that as much as the government wants to argue that TikTok is used for Chinese propagation, the government has, and the elites that pay the government have profited from TikTok as well, because with the readily availability of social media, that has allowed for advertisement to be made on wide scale, and it's pushed consumerism to an all-time high, where individuals are so worried about getting, I want to be, I want to have this trend. I want to get what this influencer's getting. I want to do this. And it's pushed materialism onto the impoverished, not the rich, the impoverished, the lower middle class, the true middle class, and that is creating an exacerbation of wealth disparity, I believe, and I think it's intentional.
Yeah, I can see it being intentional. Look at it like this with TikTok. Yes, they are
I'd
profiting.
say TikTok, but all social media, YouTube,
No,
Facebook,
but
TikTok, all of
yeah,
it.
but it's a really good example because it shows that yes, obviously the government does make money off it. It uses it just as much. The problem is this: the government doesn't want China to be as influencing as they are. Not sure if you knew, but we are literally in a Cold War with China right now.
Yeah.
A lot of bolstering, a lot of posturing for Taiwan and all that kind of stuff. I think if this had happened 20 years ago, the United States would not be talking about banning TikTok. They want to ban TikTok because they don't want China to be able to propaganda us anymore, based on what's going on. The reason I think it will go away. I don't think there's enough profit for them for it to be worth the information given out, or the information being passed back and forth on China's demand. Not sure if people knew about that. In China, TikTok is not like TikTok here at all. There are no fucking dumbass light yourself on fire in a shower challenges. They're like all innovative things
Tide
and
Pods,
positive stuff.
forbidden gushers,
Yeah, like the stupidest man.
cinnamon challenge.
And again, I'm gonna tell you, I'll be open as fuck about it. I hope they don't get rid of TikTok. I think that TikTok is motherfucking population control, and it's perfect. All those
Yeah,
motherfuckers that are willing to get in the shower and light themselves on fire got to go.
these kids are getting too creative with the ways they're trying to kill themselves. You know, back in our day, if somebody would just dare us to jump off a bridge.
Right? The fuck is going on, man? And you didn't fucking videotape that shit. Like what the? I'm so happy. I see. That is one thing I am happy that I am old. Um, Everything that I would never want anyone to know about was before fucking social media and sharing what you did during the day. It was like you and your friends did a bunch of stupid shit, and that shit was between you guys and the victim. And when I
Straight
say
up.
victim, I mean when you
The kid that
vandalize
you had been
stuff or you
bullying for the
break
last six and a
stuff,
half months. Yeah.
all of the above, all of the above. It's a
Give me
fucking
your
weird
lunch
concept.
money.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think Right to Hand said he's going to come back. I was hoping Travis could because I want to set up something because we have been back and forth for a few weeks now about this Horizon shit. And I know you're very interested in talking to Travis about this. So what I'm trying to do is set up a situation where we can actually do that. I almost fucking forgot what I wanted to show you guys. I know I've been talking about the Trump thing a lot, and I have been doing a lot of hearing watching. And I took what Blue had said to heart last time we did this, and he was saying that even the Congress people that are up there have their own agendas for the questions and how they're referencing these things. What I saw in this hearing that I'm going to show, as the parts of the hearing I'm going to show, I didn't see that. I saw prepared representatives. The one is the new acting director of I don't know why I do that. The new acting director of Secret Service and the director of FBI investigations. I know it is investigation, but some other part you'll see. The thing I wanted to highlight, because there's 3 different clips that I wanted to show, but it was almost to the point where there's only one clip I'm going to show. What it is basically them grilling did it again, grilling Secret Service about the fuck up. I kind of have to play so you can kind of get leads up to it. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. But I want to play this because one of the biggest things going on right now, right? The biggest conspiracy going on right now is the Trump thing, in my opinion. But this one has surprised me. This is one of those ones where it is not auto hoaxers deluxe. There are absolutely auto hoaxers around. A lot of people, doing he cut his ear, or um, my favorite, my absolute favorite I've heard so far is, well, Trump did wrestling, right? And in wrestling, they have those blood packs that explode. Yeah. I don't like those. I don't like those type of conspiracies. And I want to make something clear. Real fucking clear. I want to make this as clear as let me hang on. Let me turn my camera on. No, not only am I turn my camera on, I'm gonna go full screen. And I'm gonna take this off so there's no distraction. I, Shawn G, do not support fucking Trump. I do not like the guy. I do not think he was a good president. I don't want him to be our fucking president. So I wanted to preface that because it has come to my attention that it may seem like I'm on Trump's side when I talk about these politics and stuff. I am fucking not. I am not at all. Here's the thing. Biden's fucking boring. He falls off a bike. He fucking stutters a lot. Like, those are really boring to me. The biggest thing I see is because here's the thing. I come from a very non-bias. No, I'm very biased. But I put both those parties on that same bias view. I think they're both fucking shit. I don't agree with voting for the lesser two evils. I don't at all. So, with that being said, for any further reference, every time I fucking talk about Trump, I feel like I now need to go, I do not fucking support the fucking asshole. So the reason I'm going into this so much, and the reason I am saying that it happened, and the reason I am talking about it, is because I do think there was a very, 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 very shady fucking situation that happened somewhere along the rankings of Secret Service. I believe that someone, because they're not even giving out names right now, which is really aggravating, someone is guilty, is responsible for this. There's whether it's the 400-foot fucking safety zone or the lack of give a fuck for the fucking obvious perfect roof, all these things. And that's why I'm watching all these hearings and shit now, because one of the biggest things that I'm realizing is that the media doesn't present these things correctly. The auto hoaxers don't present these things correctly. And even more importantly, the people who want to figure this shit out don't ever really present this thing correctly. So what I do is I have to go in and go, what the fuck is going on? And I have to weed out all the bullshit. And luckily I do this because you'd be surprised. The majority of the people that have the most convoluted story behind this are the people that think everything that mainstream says is correct. Every single part. Secret Service just fucking, they failed, but there couldn't have been anything inside on it. Those people are usually the ones that are the most fucking wrong about this. That's the crazy fucking part. Whether it's how many snipers there were, or how the situation devolved. And when I watch these hearings, I get the real information. I didn't fucking know until a few days ago, or a couple days ago, that they had been watching this motherfucker for 90 fucking minutes. 90 fucking minutes they watched this guy on site, walking around, doing shit, fucking weird, or as they refer to it as mischievous activities.
Suspicious,
thank you. It went from, and then it's odd because Secret Service will go, there was a miscommunication with local police force and Secret Service. But then you find out that that the police force told Secret Service 30 minutes prior that there was suspicious activity.
What is your stance on this, Shawn? I'm curious.
My stance is that there is some really shady shit going on in the Secret Service. I don't think it was just a drop the ball. I don't think it was just a oops.
My absolute wild headcanon is that there's infighting and somebody hired a Pinkerton.
Oh, me.
I just want the Pinkerton to be involved because I feel like they're shady enough to do it. If they're willing to go after somebody that took Pokemon cards early, they're willing to like shoot somebody.
I'm just I just like to report the news. Remember, Trump was in wrestling. Trump is not just a businessman, but he is very good at love him or hate him. That's one of his specialties, is love him or hate him. Like me, I understand the love him or hate him ability, right? Like if you can do that, it's very powerful, right? Wrestlers understand the love him or hate him mentality that is used to garnish people to come to you or to even come to you and hate you. So this to me just screams like an event that was meant to garnish hate or love for Trump and more laser focus what he's already been notoriously good at, which is being loved and hated.
But
if that's true, over the course of the past few years, he's done a pretty shitty job of it. You know, he's lost his base of people that love him and continues to push the people that hate him.
But it's like when you reinvent a character, right, in wrestling, you know, you're going to lose some of your initial fans, but you will gain new ones, right? And as long as you keep, you know, it's like Mike Tyson, right? Like, how many people have come back around on Mike Tyson, right? There were people that were like, you know, when he was like, I'll eat your children and fuck your kids, they were like, oh my God, that dude needs to die. But now when they talk to him, you know, and he's like, you know, you just gotta love your neighbor, you know, you just do what you do. It's people are like, you know, Mike Tyson, and people almost love him more because of how bad he was in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like if Mike Tyson was always like who he was, I don't think he'd be as popular. I feel he's more popular because he was this psychopath who has now become one of these very just quotable, and you're like, damn, I want to hang out with Mike Tyson now. Yeah. But he'll still punch on an airplane.
I think Mike Tyson's a little bit different because of you know, the way that he came into the boxing world. You know, he basically took it by force, and you know, and then went through a whole bunch of downfalls that, you know, some people are like, oh well, that could be staged, but you don't really stage something like, you know, your trainer being killed, or well, not killed, but dying, and you know, completely going off the rails, and then all of the accusations and everything like that. I don't know. I think the reason why Mike Tyson has an appeal like that is just the fact that he was the most feared person in boxing, and you know, and turns out to be a nice guy.
I think people change.
Did he already beat up that Paul kid? Has he done that yet?
It got canceled because
it's rescheduled. And again, that's you know, but
but here's the thing.
When you talk about him, right? Like
here's the thing. Here's the thing so I believe another conspiracy. So Tyson got sick, and that's why it was canceled. But it also falls in line when everyone started going, that's a 60-year-old man. If you knock him out, it's not going to be good for you, Jake. I think that's why it actually stopped.
How about this? Do you think I can't even remember who Jake? He ended up fighting somebody else, right?
Yes.
Well, no, his brother has already fought Mike Tyson.
Huh? I don't think
because
that's
it's
true.
Jake and Logan Paul, and I want to say Logan has already fought him, and now he was going to fight Jake.
No, Mike Tyson has not fought last person Tyson has fought is what's his face, the old guy,
Roy Jones Jr. They did that exhibition about.
Yep.
All right, so Logan, they get him a new competitor. I don't even know who the fucking guy is. Whatever, we'll call him
bare
Player
knuckle
A.
fighter.
Yeah. Oh shit. You're fuck.
Michael Perry. There you go.
Mike Perry. Yeah, Platinum Perry.
Yep.
Okay, so do you think as many people would have watched that fight if first there wasn't the hype with Logan and Tyson? And that's what I think a lot of things they'll do is they'll be like, oh, watch this guy we're going to have fight face this guy we know he's not going to have fight, but you all want to see him fight. So you bring all the eyes, then you cancel it, pull one of them, and then put somebody else in.
I say they lost money on the Perry fight because of it was supposed to be Tyson.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But here's the thing: you get Tyson again, so now you get this one, and you get the bonus. You get it's you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I think it's all for me. It's always a play for money. It's your time, right? They want your eyes. So if they can, that's why we got to have a trilogy. Because it's bad enough we wasted 3 hours watching it once. We got to do it 3 times.
Well, the problem with this is I think this is actually a black eye on MMA. What's not being said is the realistic
I agree.
nature of this fight. A lot of people didn't know this. For the Tyson Jake Paul fight, in the contract, the more rounds it goes, the more money Tyson made. Tyson was not allowed to knock him out in the first round. If he did, he would get a substantial amount less of a purse. If it went into the 6th round, Tyson's money would double. Jake Paul is allowed to knock him out. Jake Paul is allowed to take it into later round. It does not matter. But there's a lot of stipulations around that fight, all made to basically mean Jake Paul doesn't get knocked the fuck out when he should.
Okay, to you, would you consider that rigging a fight?
Yes.
And so again, I'll say this all the time, like all fights are rigged, right? And people are like, and what do you think? Somebody's taking a dive? I'm like, it's not always has to be take a dive, right? Like in the NFL too, it could be the same stuff, like. This guy gets a bonus for this many yards or this, and you can influence how these things happen. What do you think? It's a coincidence Taylor Swift was in the Super Bowl?
I think there's a vast difference between when you say fixed. Football, definitely a little harder, but you can sway by paying refs and shit like that, giving fucking hit bonuses and shit like that. But I don't think a hit bonus is a fix. I think it creates a fix. In MMA, I would say the only fix would be the setups, right? You put a lesser fighter against a bigger fighter so you can get or vice versa to build rank. I can say in my cage fights, nothing was rigged. We were both amateurs. We both had the same rules. And in whatever outcome it was fair. I have seen thousands of official UFC fights, being there personally watching it, and it's a lot harder to fix a fight than you think it is, unless you have the background contracts that stipulate these things. It's hard. It's even hard for a ref to fix a fight in MMA.
Man, did you see? Man, I got to look it up so I can get the thing. It was a recent one, but it's this dude. He has long hair, and he came out and his hair wasn't tied up, and it's like always tied up. And I remember thinking like, bro, they got his hair not tied up so that it looks good when he gets hit. He's gonna get a big hit or something, and it's gonna like look good like that. Like I think again, I think it's all promotional type stuff. And yeah, he ended up losing, and there was a big shot where they showed like his head going back, and it looked great because like his hair was flying back. And again, to people, like if you have different set of eyes, like if I'm thinking everything's fake, I'll look at that, be like, oh, that's strange. Like with the astronauts' hair, like that's strange why their sprayed hair is up like that, So things to me,
like which like the whole Trump thing. That's strange. Like, you know, there's a sniper and you're gonna put your head up and raise your fist. Like, here I am again. Like, all these things are just strange to me, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
but wouldn't
and when
you?
it doesn't make sense, I'm like,
But wouldn't you agree that Trump is insanely egotistical, narcissistic?
Based on his personality. But again, I've never met the guy, right? Like, for all I know, you could meet him and he's an entirely different person than he is on TV. Dog.
Yeah, but at the same time, and I said this when it first happened. One, I think his ego, that fist pump and all that shit, is 100% his ego. I even believe that the second it happened and he went down, realized he was alive, he was already had winning, you know, the winning signs in his eyes and the what he was going to predicate off of
Wouldn't
the
you?
event.
Wouldn't you?
Not like that. In time,
bro.
and in
If
time,
I'm giving
absolutely.
a speech and you take a shot and you miss, I'm standing the fuck up like, yeah, motherfucker, you can't hit me.
I don't know.
Not me.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know
I'd follow Secret Service's direction to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
Because
but
if
now
there's
here's the
one,
other-
there may be two.
Yeah, here's the problem now.
My ass is
Because-
army crawling on that fucking floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Scurrying
Here's the
away.
problem. Because here's what I saw from that fist pump, right? I saw more fail of Secret Service. Because here's the issue I have. If the camera can see Trump and take a picture of Trump fisting his pump, or fisting his fist, pumping his
Pumping
fist.
his
Holy
fist.
shit.
Careful there.
That sniper, a scope can see him too. This is one other reason I believe that there is a shadiness afoot in the Secret Service. Before we go on, I want to play this real quick because I wanted to play it a while ago. The first clip I'm going to play, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's just the basic. I just want you guys to now see who the new director is and get an idea of what's going to be talked about. The second clip is fucking amazing. And again, Blue helped the other day understand that, you know, a lot of these Congress people have their own objectives, but I don't think there was one objective besides motherfucker, we want answers. And you guys got to hear it. So let's get to that. And if you guys want to pause it, talk through it, tell me to pause it so we can talk about something that's in it, let me know. I don't mind that at all either.
Morning. Chairman Peters, Chairman Durbin, Ranking Member Paul, Ranking Member Graham, and distinguished members of the committees. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. A critical part of the Secret Service mission is protecting our nation's current and former government leaders. The attempted assassination of former President Donald J. Trump on Saturday, July 13th, 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a failure on multiple levels. Since my appointment as the acting director 1 week ago, I identified gaps in our security on July 13th and have implemented corrective actions. One of my first actions as acting director was traveling to the Butler Farm Show site to better understand how our protection failed. I went to the roof of the AGR building where the assailant fired shots, and I laid in a prone position to evaluate his line of sight. What I saw made me ashamed. As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year veteran with the Secret Service, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured. To prevent similar lapses from occurring in the future, I directed our personnel to ensure every event site security plan is thoroughly vetted by multiple experienced supervisors before it is implemented.
Our second witness is Paul Abate. Mr. Abate is the Deputy Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation at the Department of Justice. In this role, Deputy Director Abate oversees all.
And Graham and distinguished members of the committee, it is a privilege to appear before you today to discuss the.
I want to pause it and just let you guys know this is one of the very important parts. This is the FBI's investigation, their timeline of the events. Very important to listen to the times.
The FBI's investigation of the attempted assassination of former President Trump on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. Next, I want to provide a brief highlighted overview of the timeline that has been established to date through witness interviews and other information. Again, this is our understanding at present and is subject to change and further refinement as more facts are collected. On July 3rd, the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania was announced. On July 6th, the shooter registered to attend the rally and performed a search for, quote, how far was Oswald from Kennedy? On July 7th, the shooter traveled from his home to the Butler Farm Show grounds and remained there for approximately 20 minutes. We assess this shows advanced planning and reconnaissance on his part. On July 12th, the shooter traveled from his home to the Clairton Sportsman Club, where he practiced shooting. On the morning of July 13th, at approximately 10 a.m., the shooter returned to the farm show grounds and remained there for about 70 minutes before returning home again. At approximately 1:30 p.m., while at the residence, the shooter's father gave him a rifle for the purpose he believed of going back to the Sportsman Club. About 25 minutes later, the shooter purchased ammunition while en route to the Butler Farm Show grounds. The subject then arrived at the scene and was moving around the farm show grounds close to the American Glass Research AGR building, from which he ultimately committed the attack. Shortly thereafter, at approximately 3:51 p.m., the shooter flew a drone approximately 200 yards from the farm show grounds for about 11 minutes. The drone and controller were later found in the subject's car. Analysis has not revealed any photos or video taken by the drone, but we can confirm that he was live streaming at the time and would have been able to view it on his controller. The first reported sighting of the shooter by local law enforcement was at approximately 4:26 p.m. At approximately 5:10 p.m., the shooter was identified.
Stop real quick. I just want to say one thing.
As a
Yes, sir.
I have a drone, and when they will, when the football game goes on, they shut the airspace down, and I cannot fly it. I literally can't take off. Might be because of the, the brand I have does have geo-locking and certain things. But again, to me, that's fishy to me, that where the president is within 100 meters, which you can take off there, where they have abilities to implement airspace restrictions that would be fishy to me.
Yeah, I assumed they would do that. It's very odd to me that for any length of time prior to it happening, that someone would be able to have a drone. That's their number one fear, right? That's an overview of your target.
By local law enforcement as a suspicious person around the AGR building. And at approximately 5:14 p.m., a local SWAT operator took a photo of the shooter. At about 5:32 p.m., local SWAT observed the shooter next to the AGR building using his phone, browsing news sites, and with a rangefinder. At approximately 5:38 p.m., the photo of the shooter taken earlier was sent to local SWAT operators in a text message group. Subsequently, approximately 25 minutes prior to the shooting, the U.S. Secret Service command post was notified of a suspicious person. Officers lost sight of the subject from approximately 6:02 p.m. to 6:08 p.m., but continued to communicate with each other in an attempt to locate him. Recently discovered video from a local business shows the shooter pulling himself up onto the AGR building rooftop at approximately 6:06 p.m. And at approximately 6:08 p.m., the subject was observed on the roof by local law enforcement.
Listen.
And at approximately 6:08 p.m., the subject was observed on the roof by local law enforcement.
Listen.
And at approximately 6:08 p.m., the subject was observed on the roof by local law enforcement.
Okay. I want everyone to understand this real fucking quick. So the AG building is the building that the shooter climbed onto and shot at the president or at Trump. The reason Secret Service was not around that building is because they had allocated the responsibility of that area to the local tech teams. The local TAC team was supposed to be on the AG roof, watching out, watching the public. They were also supposed to be in the surrounding area of the AG building. When he said they got a picture of the assailant on the roof, I want you to understand something. It was not from outside. This is an official report statement. They were inside the AG building because it was too hot. They were not at their post because it was too hot. If you don't believe me, go look at the transcript. Even fucking better, wait until the next fucking clip. Because the next clip, one of the congressmen call fucking the director of Secret Service out on exactly that issue. But I wanted to point out that when he said that that local police observed him on the roof, they observed him from inside the building. They looked up and saw someone on the roof. They sent a guy out. And then that's where we are here now.
This kind of sounds like on that day when there was planes where they shouldn't been, and how anytime that ever happens, there'll be F-14s that will intercept. But on this particular day, they just happen to be, or they were going to let the local state cover that area, and they forgot, right? Like it's
yeah, they were on training for 9/11. The response jets for NORAD were in Florida doing hijacking training missions. So they weren't there.
Because we only have two, right? Because we only got two fighter jets in our entire Air Force.
Nope. There's 3 bases, 6 jets. 4 of the jets were on training. 2 jets were on call. The issue started when FAA and airline started connecting with each other. Biggest issue is because that training mission where they were out training for hijacked commercial jets and shit. The FAA for the first 10 minutes didn't know if the hijacking reports were part of the training mission or they were real. So there was a big issue in that 10 minutes that no one knew what was going on.
I'm just saying it's a little convenient. It's all lucky for those bombers, huh? Lucky for those bombers.
Yeah, I literally.
The other thing about this one is where where these police officers were at. The AGR building has 2 separate. Well, it's actually like 3 buildings altogether, but they were on the 2nd story inside of the one building, and had a view of where that guy got up onto the building.
Yes.
So that's the part that really irritates me about this, is if they had leaned out the window and looked honestly just looked out the freaking window, they would have said, hey, this guy's got a gun.
Yep. Yeah, this was wild. And that's what really gets me, because at the same, it's like Secret Service seems like they're trying to blame local police, but ultimately they're at fault. I'm trying to find that picture. I think we all know what the AG building and all that looks like. I'm trying to find a close-up. Not so easy to do at the moment. Oh, there it is. Let's see if this one will work.
And now we want to show you a map of the location.
It's like when the that Italian captain, right? He fell in the lifeboat. Right? He was, no, I didn't go in the lifeboat. I tripped and then I fell and I landed in there.
Okay, I don't want to put the watermark. I don't want to show the watermark. So, in on the left corner, that little red square right there, they were inside there and inside the white building. And if they would have just leaned out the white building, they would have seen him shimming his ass up there. Basically, what Shawn was saying. Yeah. So let's finish this up because, like I said, I just stopped it because I wanted you guys to know that when he was first cited by local police, it was because it was too hot.
At approximately 6:11 p.m., a local police officer was lifted to the roof by another officer, saw the shooter, and radioed that he was armed with, quote, a long gun. Within approximately the next 30 seconds, the shots were fired. The evidence recovery team found 8 shell casings at the scene next to the shooter's body. We believe that the shooter, fired 8 rounds. While the investigation has not determined motive, the investigative team continues to review information from legal returns, including online and social media accounts.
They look
okay. So this is the fun one. This one was fun. This guy, his name is Senator Howley. I have it written.
Josh Howley.
Yep, there you go. This guy, I've actually seen this guy before. He doesn't bullshit. He's an asshole, but in this situation, he's an asshole in every good way.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's also the guy that ran away during the J6 thing. So I don't know. Like, I think.
Wait.
Yeah.
You say run away. What should he?
Oh, I mean, he fucking ran like just
fuck
flat out
women and
ran.
children.
Yeah,
Pushed over
exactly.
the old lady.
Like,
Okay.
fuck everybody else. I'm out.
Sorry, Grandma. I'll call you later. Okay. Well, I didn't know that, but at the same time, you guys watch. And again, if you guys want pause at any point, just let me know.
Left, they should be able to see the shooter clearly there on the AGR second floor roof. My question is, why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper on that roof?
So, Senator, we're when we post up, our methodology is to look at things that can see in on our protectees, so that they can provide that coverage.
But why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper there with clear line of sight? That roof has a clear line of sight to the former president. Why didn't you put a Secret Service counter sniper there?
The Secret Service's counter sniper role is to neutralize those threats that are looking in on us from where the protectee is, not necessarily.
You think maybe you might want to revise that protocol in light of what happened here?
They were protecting the principal, and I think
the principal got shot.
Understand that, sir.
So do you think you might want to revise the protocol? Let me ask you this. Who is the lead site agent who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not been relieved of duty. I know their name,
by the way. Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility. And we will let the facts of the mission assurance and any further investigations play out.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
Senator, I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out to include.
Who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter?
Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure
stop it real quick?
we get to the bottom of it and interview everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so me and you, we look totally different at this. Now, you have a little more faith in the system than I do. Okay. To you, like, how that guy, right? Like, don't you think he should be fired, right? Like that should be like protocol.
No. Okay. So you're talking about the guy on screen right now, right?
No, the guy that the one they're talking about. He's like, well, where's that guy now? He's like, well, he hasn't, the dude who was in charge of that building. Like, how is he not fired? Right? Like, come on.
So here's the thing. I agree. The motherfucker should have been fired instantly. But not firing him gives you opportunity to, one, keep tabs, two, ask questions any moment you want to. It is brought up in here whether, why hasn't he, and he explains it. But I do agree the guy should be fired. He should have been fired. What was brought up that I wanted to bring up on that aspect is the senators, the guy asking the questions, he does bring up that as a very relevant question. How do you guarantee that nobody that had anything to do with planning for that event has anything to do with anything coming up? The problem I had was that he prefaced it as democratic events, but when he really should have said any event. But it is brought up though.
Everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here. And you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed.
As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage, knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back.
That is probably the most damning reason I think Secret Service is shady as fuck. I want you to understand something. Remember that timeline we just listened to? This is bigger. This is much bigger than what the sniper was doing, and then the sniper taking a shot. Remember this.
Yeah, letting him even get there, right? Like, that's
complete
uselessness.
Even bigger than that. Bigger than that. He's on stage, right? Trump is talking on stage, and the guy even stated this in the timeline. There was 30 seconds between radio communication to Secret Service and the shot and the first shots ringing out, right? The second, there's a report of a guy on a roof with a long rifle. Why wasn't Trump ripped the fuck off that stage?
So, this is what I meant to ask you. Since we differ, do you think this is conspiracy or incompetence?
Yes.
Both?
Which degree? A competence through and through. Conspiracy, nothing to back it.
So you think this is just pure governmental incompetence?
No, I don't think it's pure. I just don't have enough evidence to say I have a valid conspiracy theory.
I'm just gonna let you know I missed a court date for a speeding ticket. They issue a bench warrant. There were 9 cops surrounded my house. I back up to a walking path. They took 2 trucks onto the walking path, so I didn't go out the back of my house. Like, this is at a low level, right? This is at a very low level. They're pretty good at their job. So for me to accept that there's that big of an incompetency at the elite level, that's where that's where for me conspiracy is a much better explanation. To be like, oh well, Jerry Rice dropped 5 balls in the end zone. I guess he just dropped a couple balls, or maybe somebody paid him.
Okay. But what about this?
Go ahead,
Tex.
I was just going to say, I do feel like the way that our government and our government agencies play out is a lot like Game of Thrones. There are certain special interest groups that have senators, CIA agents, FBI agents, certain government agencies all under their control. And so there is probably some possibility of infighting in those organizations due to that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So Watchmaker, I'm going to touch on what I was going to say, but I wanted to answer this. Watchmaker says, other than the last 30 seconds, it appears that most of the incompetence is with agencies other than Secret Service. Yes. We don't know if or when they were informed of anything. We do. They were informed 30 minutes prior to Trump going on stage that there was a suspicious activity. And then what I just brought up, like I think this is what you're referring to, that last 30 seconds, the Secret Service fuck up. But here's the most important thing. The Secret Service sets up a perimeter, and then they set up another perimeter for local. No matter what, whoever was in charge of Secret Service and planning is still responsible for that outer perimeter. So when it says incompetence of other agencies, specifically the local police department that supplied and didn't supply certain things, they're still under Secret Service's authority. They still have to answer to them.
If I contract somebody out to do a lawn and the lawn's all messed up, that's on me, right? Like, because I hired that contractor. It ultimately comes to me.
Exactly. So yeah, I think it's very important to understand that when Secret Service at all says incompetence, it's a deflection. It's not, there is no real reason for him to blame the police force, but to take blame off of him. Overall, it's his fault. The worst part is, like I said, Secret Service did acknowledge there was a suspicious character prior to Trump going on stage. Prior to the shooting, both those priors, Trump should have been off that stage within 5 seconds. There shouldn't have been a 30 seconds first shot.
Have you ever seen the Bodyguard Olympics?
Something like that.
Yeah, if you watch it, the first thing they always do whenever the threat starts is they remove the VIP. It's just like they always have an out plan.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So hang on. So actually, I know exactly what you're talking about because I have done, at this point, I'm at 17 hours of protective private security. In California, I was trying to get my private card so I can transport marijuana money. Tested a little harder to get than you think. But more importantly, I have done training. Yes. In this situation, it's definitely different. So I am not comparing what I've done to Secret Service. Let's preface that. But the principle is the same. The person you are protecting is the only life that matters. If that means you have to be his shield to get him out of that situation, that is the job. That's what you are trained to do. And that's what Secret Service is 1,000% trained to do. Every person that signs up for Secret Service, there's a little stipulation under there that says, hey, motherfucker, your life does not matter. You are a human shield. But I mean, they ultimately are the ones that failed. The incompetence of a local police department, yes, is bad. But ultimately, this is a Secret Service fuck up, even if it is the fuck up of local.
Well, I would say it's actually a fuck up of No, I'm gonna blame pretty much everybody that was involved with that entire thing. A Secret Service, when they set up the perimeter. And they said, okay, we're going to have 2 snipers up here, a sniper team up on one roof, with limited visibility of the other roof that is directly across from them. That's a failure, right? Automatically you are looking through trees at another roof that somebody else could be sitting at doing whatever. You know, so that's the number one failure. Number two was when they didn't set up a communications center, you know, for local PD and Secret Service to communicate together. You know, generally, like when SWAT comes out or something like that, they generally have a command center where everybody goes through. You know, the FBI, the local PD, SWAT, and then whoever else is joined in. They all sit on the same communications channel. They all hear the same exact thing. And then when they go dark, you know, they switch over to a separate comm system or a localized comm system.
Yes.
But then on top of that, you have your local PD who saw this suspicious person, which a suspicious person doesn't mean anything really in nowadays, because everybody's suspicious, right? You know, in the eyes of the Secret Service, everybody is suspicious. But when local PD called out a suspicious person, what they should have said that was there is a possible threat instead. That would have elevated the levels instead of saying there's a suspicious person, just like, you know, the same another person that walked in with, you know, signs and a backpack and stuff like that into the venue was a suspicious person as well. You know, it means absolutely nothing. Yes, we may try to get eyes on that person, you know, but nobody's really going to you know, pay as much attention. But then afterwards, you know, the suspicious person was lost. So that tells me that somebody, you know, wasn't a good detective or wasn't good at their policing job, whatever. And then to spot the guy getting on the roof, and then I think it was like 2.5 minutes or something, maybe even longer. No, it was like 10 minutes before they got the officer up to see that it was that he actually had a rifle. And you know, through all of that, that was all a failure.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a part in there that they touch on it in this clip, but there was a time where the first, I think it was probably about 20 minutes, 30 minutes prior, they got a report from local suspicious character. They were told to follow. What isn't being widely reported is that they lost him. In between that time they lost him is the time when Secret Service was not notified that that person was lost, you know, not being observed anymore. And then between that and the time that he was up on the roof. Watchmaker says if the person who set up the perimeter was following standard procedure, I'd assume they shouldn't be fired. Now it sounds like there was a communication system failure that's fireable. The perimeter, I would say, and I think everyone here is in agreement, the 400-foot perimeter was pathetic considering that any rooftop that a long rifled assailant would be using happened to be just outside that perimeter. The AG building was, I think, 150 yards and very visible. If I was Secret Service, and I'm not, and I don't think I'm qualified to ever even say I could be, that rooftop would have been probably observation number one, along with the water tower. But yeah, I think whoever set up that perimeter should be fired. And then the communication situation absolutely should be fired for. Another aspect of it was I found out that the president and vice president's Secret Service radio communications are recorded. He says when they just do random events, they don't record it. I think, why the fuck not? I think every Secret Service thing should be recorded for that situation.
Bro, I was just thinking about it. I was like, if I was in charge of it, you know what I would do? It'd be so much simpler. I'd be like, yo, we're just going to walk him. We'll just have the podium surrounded by bulletproof glass. Like, it just eliminates the need for snipers on roofs. It eliminates the need for 100 people. All you got to do is just put them You walk them up to the bulletproof thing. Everybody can see them. Everybody can hear them. You don't got to worry about anything. You're going to save taxpayers millions of dollars, put nobody at risk. Boom, done.
All right, we're going to go ahead and play some more of this. And while we play this, I'm going to make sure my dogs don't piss on my floor. So for the next 30 seconds, if you wanted me to stop it, I won't be able to.
To my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance, and as opposed to zeroing in on one,
what more do you need to investigate to know
exactly what the
what more do you
decision-making
need to
process
investigate to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigators to do their job. And I cannot,
A lot of people didn't do their
cannot
jobs.
put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise,
what do you mean put your thumb on the scale?
You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the
Is it
Secret
not
Service.
prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
Then
just like you
fire
have.
somebody to
And I will
hold them
tell you,
accountable.
Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put people
I can't believe that
unfairly
you
persecuted.
are unfairly persecuted. We've got
Unfairly,
people
sir,
who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this, Senator.
You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation, prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it. Let me ask you something else. The Real Clear Politics reports this morning that you were directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel, including counter snipers, not just to this event, but over the last 2 years, that President Trump's team repeatedly asked for these additional resources, and you personally were involved in denying them. Is that true?
Senator, as I stated earlier, that is not true.
So you never denied any resources to former President Trump's team?
No, not me. No, sir.
And
Not
you weren't
personally.
involved in any of that? You
No,
were never
sir, I
involved
was
in the
not.
decision making?
No, sir, I was not.
Let me ask you just one or two other things here quickly. Well, whistleblowers tell me that, in fact, law enforcement were stationed to be on that roof and that law enforcement abandoned their post because it was too hot. Is that accurate?
Senator, I have heard that as well. Again, they posted up inside. And I think moving forward, as I said earlier, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on roofs.
But do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was in fact? That's what the whistleblowers tells me. That may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more than you are, and you don't know. You haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
That remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you've fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Were
sir.
you offered drones?
Senator, so there was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability
That was
of
a good
local
roast.
law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it if it was offered.
Whatever it does.
Yeah, so that was it. If that isn't to me, if that is not clear reasoning to doubt the ability of Secret Service and or something nefarious happening, I don't know what it is. There's a lot of fuckery. And
Would you want them in charge of you? Right? Like,
yes. Yes.
And then you think about this,
Yes.
like, so
Yes.
this
Yes,
is
I
who's
would.
in charge of the president, guarding the president, and this same like type of shit is what's making sure Russia's not invading us. Is it, like, this is what they're selling us, right? Like,
Well, see, here's where it gets conspiratorial. Is the same Secret Service making the same mistakes for other parties?
yeah. See, that's why for me, conspiracy explains this so much better than just wide scale incompetence, and not
Oh,
just
I
like one
agree.
person's incompetence, but like a multitude. Like, you've been at a job where a manager was like, "Oh yeah, no, send the undercooked chicken out," and you're just, "I'm not going to do that, dude. I'm
Yeah.
not. We're not an idiot. Like, we got to stop this. Somebody's got to do something about this."
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. It's one of those things where I personally do not. Okay, so I do think I was going to say I don't, but I do. There's been a lot of news in the past, and from Trump himself, there is a issue between the two. They don't like each other. Trump's an asshole, complete fucking dick. So I can imagine, in my conspiratorial thinking, that he is not not a positive for them, Secret Service. He probably makes their jobs very difficult. And I don't know who you piss off to make this decision, but giving him less, I could see being the case. Giving him not your all being the case. I mean, and again, these are a lot. There was a lot to unpack from just today that shows the incompetence of Secret Service. And in my opinion, if Secret Service is this incompetent for a candidate, shit, should presidents feel safe right now? And what the fuck do you do? I don't think, because all that's okay. This is probably the biggest problem with the people in the hearing. And I think the biggest problem that we should all have. The director of Secret Service resigned about a week ago. The guy you're seeing is the new acting director. Why is he the only one, or why is that position the only one affected in this whole fucking situation?
That's a little. So, like, from my just a quick anecdote for me. I had charges pressed against me, right? Ridiculous. And the lady kept calling the DA, kept calling. And finally, the DA pressed the charges. The DA then left, and this other DA got this case. So he basically got a case that really shouldn't have been a case, you know? And now we go to court, and it's like, okay, you're saying this happened, but there's no proof it happened. Why did you even press the charges? And he's like, well, I didn't press the charges, you know? So it's almost like the person to blame is gone. And so it's,
Ultimately,
nobody's fault now, right?
Yep. I want to respond to this. Watchmaker says, well, also, it's not the Secret Service's job to just give someone whatever they want and when they ask for it. Trump has been told outdoor events are inherently insecure. They probably tell every person that they protect that. The difference would be that their job is to protect the elect, the candidate, former president, better yet. It doesn't matter if you're outside. Biden does stuff outside too. Or I don't want to make it him versus him, right? Democrats do these things outside too. Other Republicans do these things outside too. And I think because we have a Secret Service, I think it is the responsibility of Secret Service to accommodate whoever they are protecting. As far as I know, I don't know for sure. Secret Service doesn't get any input on doesn't get input on if it's inside or out. They probably can say this is dangerous, this is very dangerous, this is safer, but their job and responsibility is, no matter what the situation, to protect whoever they're protecting. Whoever did, and again, another problem, we don't even know the name of who was the actual person that, like was on site doing the planning. The perimeter will be here. We will have snipers here. We won't have snipers here. Like, who is that person? That person, I think, is probably the most important in this situation, because to me, firing the director, or not firing, I'm sorry, fuck that, forcing the resignation, aka firing the director of Secret Service, was a cop-out. It's a cop-out move. It's their way of going, well, we did something about it until we can figure out what really went down. When in reality, like I said, I think at the very least, if not fired, they should not be on duty. Not, is it on duty? On administrative
Yeah,
leave.
you do. Yeah. They
yeah.
The big thing is like the when the lady came in for the Congress hearings, the old director, she knew she was getting fired, right? Like as soon as she walked in that door, she's like, "Yep, I'm getting fired." And like you could just tell the way they started off the entire thing, and she knew it was her job, but she set herself up for that. And and you kind of have to wonder, like, was she the fall guy in some other little thing that went on in the Secret Service, and that's kind of how she got her job. But this guy, I like this guy because he doesn't mind hitting back. Howley went after him a few times, and he hit him right back. But like, I'm not going to just rush to judgment and just fire everybody on the team, right? He's like, I'm going to find who's accountable for this, which I can respect. That's one of the things that I said was from the beginning was this investigation. Like with JFK, the whole JFK thing, 20 years, and they still didn't find out if Oswald had a partner or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and they were expecting something when she was in there within 6 days. So I don't know.
But hang on. I kind of disagree with what you're saying. There is a person that should be fired. They know who that person is, without a doubt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, there probably should be like probably 5 people fired automatically. But the team leader definitely should be fired, because that person should have, before Trump even walked out on stage, they should have walked that perimeter. That should, to ensure that their perimeter was set up correctly. Like, that is their job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing that's got me really riled up. The protecting game, because that's what they're doing right now. They're playing the protect game. Doesn't make sense why.
Well, now here's the okay. I'm going to dive into the conspiracy aspect of it. Would you fire the person that could be implicated in an assassination attempt on the president, and let them go and do whatever they want?
Well,
or would you keep them in the position so that you can keep an eye on them and also continue investigating them?
I feel like that's a hard question, because I don't. It's really weird. It's like the wording of what's happening right now is super weird. They're not fired, but he also didn't say they're not on duty. And I will say this for sure. If we don't get at least 2 or 3 firings because of this, there would be no doubt in my fucking mind Secret Service had at least 1% to do with this.
Well, I thought he did say that that they were still in some sort of operation.
Yeah, he did. He said that they weren't. Yeah, he said no. See, that was a weird wording again. He said he wasn't going to fire anybody, and then when asked if they had anything to do with any future rallies, he just said that the Democratic one that was coming up in D.C. was by another team.
Right,
That's
right.
all
But
he said.
before that, he had said something about because he had asked what that person's name was, and he said, "I'm not about to give out that person's name because they're still involved with an operation and an investigation."
I didn't catch that part. And or maybe it's because it's part of the investigation, but no, I remember that part. Yeah, because he was saying that like you're saying, he was asking about, yeah, that was in transition to what I just said. That was the beginning of what I was talking. Yeah, okay. I remember now.
Yeah. So if he's still in an operation, that means he's still on some sort of duty.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was saying at the very least, the first they should have started out with these guys are on administrative leave. They will be part of no investigations, no missions or whatever the fuck they call them until the investigation is over. That's the crazy part. No, I know for a fact I didn't hear anybody, the first director or this director, say that at all. That any of them are on administrative leave and no longer part of any other things.
Yeah, which is odd to me, but at the same time, if they're trying to keep keep things going just so they can investigate that person more, that could be a possibility. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can think of. Kind of
Yeah,
keep
but
that person, in this state of everything's okay, so that they can, just keep diving deeper into their life and stuff. And who knows, possibly come up with the connection.
yeah, but what happens when he's guilty and he's part of any other mission or whatever you want to say, and now you got collusion, and it's a bigger case. That's why it makes
Right. But if they're it's like a false sense of security, right? If you have a subject that you're investigating, you don't want to let them out of your sight necessarily. I mean, when they say they're in an operation, they could be filing fucking papers in the office, right? Nobody really knows. Like you wouldn't want that person. It's say you let them out on administrative leave. That means you have to pull a whole detail to just follow them around for the rest. For as long as that investigation's going on.
Isn't that what we pay the FBI to do anyway?
But this is the Secret Service. Now they're working with the FBI, but they're two separate entities.
Yeah, but the FBI has jurisdiction. They're leading the investigation.
Right. But if say the FBI is like, listen, we don't want you to do anything. Just let this go because the investigation's kind of getting sketchy or something. Just keep that person in place. Have them doing whatever. Janitorial services, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely see what you're saying. I think I'm just like that senator, right? I want my answers now.
Yeah, but I think that's just a sign of the times because, like we all want something right now, right? It's just how we are. But like when it comes to investigations and stuff, especially when you're dealing with I don't know, possible foreign, implications and assets and multiple different avenues of how this person could be connected to this person. You don't want to rush it. You want the facts.
Yes. And that was one of the hard things for me to learn because when I first started as a conspiracy theorist, I was like, write the hand. It's easier to say the worst now and backpedal into reality than it is to willingly look like a sheep and then be shocked with reality later. And then I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree with that. I'd rather be wrong and become right than to think I'm right and be insanely wrong. I think that's a really good mantra. I just made that up. But guys, I'm going to shut this down. It's about the 3-hour mark. I got a bunch of stuff to do. I do want to I'm going to keep talking about this kind of stuff. It's very intriguing, and I am hooked on watching those hearings. It's fun. Let me see if I have anything else on my little list. Answer Robert's question real quick. Robert says, do people prefer ignorance? The safety of what they were programmed to believe? Yes, absolutely. Don't you feel the best when you're fucking snuggled in your bed, nice and safe? That's just a human trait that is played on, basically, as far as I'm concerned. I don't really have anything else to do. Right to hand, man. I appreciate the fuck you coming on, man. And hey, and we had a good conversation. We didn't bicker and fight, so we can do it. You got anything going on?
Well,
You got one?
I told you.
Did you want to throw out? You got 30 seconds. Just kind of.
Nah.
That's it.
The only thing I would say is don't get too wrapped up in what they get about this stuff and yada yada. But at the end of the day, right, we all got bills to pay and we got lives we got to if we can't, or if somebody shoots at Trump, really.
I agree. Shawn, my friend, thank you as always. Lightning in the part of the conversation. Do you got anything you want to close out with?
No. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate the stream, and it's always good to have you back. It's too bad that Totoro gave you a bad computer. So I'm glad you got that all resolved.
Yep.
But no, I'm just kidding around. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. I'm going to respectfully remove you guys and have it out for another 2 minutes and then be done. All right, yeah, that works too. Let me see. Where am I trying to be? Here we go. There we go. Oscar, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for being here, man. I definitely enjoy these conversations. My favorite are the conspiracy theory ones because obviously I have a different view than a lot of other people on the mainstream side. So with that being said, there's going to be a lot more stuff about this because I think the incompetence and the possible shadiness within the Secret Service needs to be talked about some more. Along with that, I'm going to try to get something going on with Travis because I know he's been itching for a one-on-one. And other than that, I am looking for my list and I have dropped it, so I can't tell you what I was going to say for the end. So rather than sit here ranting for no fucking reason, I'm going to just say peace.
If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. It doesn't make a difference how beautiful your guess is. It doesn't make a difference how smart you are who made the guess or what his name is. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong.
Yeah, look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, I've been on a mission. mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the brakes and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock, take it like Chris Rock. Right to the chin, still win. Heavy metals like Slipknot. Got the driving, I got tunnel vision. I just hit my stride the way I run the business. I've been making paper like I'm Dunder Mifflin. See the end game, I got one division. Look, I don't ever bother with a critic. Hit him with a chronicle of Riddick. Boom, bottle full of Ritalin. I hit him with a little bit of riddle me this, riddle me that. My bad, fell asleep at the gas. No time to wait though. Elon Musk, I'm trying to bankroll. New Tesla just cause I say so. Electric whip like Ivan Vanko. I just did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know I've been on a mission. Okay, let's get it.
I've been on a mission like totally spice. I'm bad, she bad, but she totally nice. Nails are blue and her toes feel like white. They completely match out at the soul for my leg. He knew it for sure, but he left with a why.